Welcome to the City Council meeting for May 27th, 2026. It's 6 p.m. and I will now call this meeting to order. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, we'll do roll call. Councilmember Koch. Here. Councilmember Loy. Here. Councilmember Henderson.
Here.
Councilmember Lavaca.
Present.
Councilmember DeYoung.
Present.
Councilmember Peterson.
Present.
Perfect. I will be looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
Madam Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve the agenda. I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Lavaca, seconded by Councilmember Henderson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. I am also looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I had an item I wanted to bring to their attention. I could just do it real now, it's quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I think, pretty sure it's the April 22 minutes. It says, you're talking about me, it says Councilman Koch attended the SCAT board, and then I think it's just a typo. Then it says gas, oil, and costs. So I think that needs to be deleted. What I was saying at the time is the SCAT board meeting I attended, they were talking about high increases since to their gas and oil. So
Madam Mayor, should we remove item 1 and then approve items 2 through 5 and then have that fixed up for the next meeting?
Or if you can approve it with that revision.
and I'm sorry, it wasn't oil, it was gas and diesel. They run a lot of diesel.
Madam Mayor, I move the consent agenda with, as presented, and with the amendments to the April 22nd, 26 minutes that Councilmember Koch has brought out.
Okay, perfect. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, we will move into our city administrator report. Charlie?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Kesty and council. Good evening. I'm going to jump right into the city council strategic goals that you have a new iteration in front of you, and I wanted to just take a moment to go through that iteration to look at a few additions. So I made a bunch of changes based on the last conversation. I've had to accept some of the changes because the document's getting pretty messy and hard to read. But then we've got some items in here. Councilmember DeYoung, we had some things that he had submitted. He wasn't at the last meeting in person, and so we decided you kind of just deferred to me to go ahead and make my best attempt at some of these items. So really wanted to see if council had, first off, any questions, but also there are some additional strategies, and we haven't added any action items to those strategies yet because I wanted to check in with council before we put time and effort into that. To see if these strategies were things that you wanted to have reflected in the plan. And then I got one more suggested strategy today as well from Councilmember Peterson, and we can talk about that one in just a little bit. But I'd like to just kind of jump into the document here, see if council's got concerns with what you see, and particularly with the strategies that are presented. So it really gets going on page 2. Page 1's pretty well set. The goal here is we've got 1 or 2 more touches of this, but we'd like to get this thing approved in the month of June, if at all possible, because we're going to need to build it into the budget. So we had a minor edit. I'll just start walking through them. We had a minor edit on number 3, strategy number 3 on goal number 1, just clean up the language. Then we have an additional strategy added, outdoor recreation gateway. And I do want to make a suggestion, kind of a friendly amendment on this one. If Councilmember DeYoung is so inclined, if we end up going with this, We've had some discussion internally over the last few years about possibly rebranding the city from the Gateway to the North Cascades to the Base Camp to the North Cascades as more of a goal to have people not just pass through here, but spend time here. So that would be my suggested friendly amendment to that particular offering if,
I am good with that.
okay. Anybody have any thoughts? How do you feel about adding these items? And then we can add more activities to them and flesh them out from there.
Just for clarity, we're not changing the name. That's something that to move forward in the process of the goals, because it's on all of our signs already.
Well, potentially we would if the council wanted to go there ultimately.
But that would be in a discussion, not during this vote.
I
This
would,
vote's
s-
putting
I would
it in
put
the
on here
strategic plan.
something like activity would be to, explore possibly changing the tagline for the city and possibly the logo, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would think that would be great. I mean, I know that you've had some passion with that. We just have to look at the logistics of like business cards, signage, all that stuff.
All of
course.
the implementation steps, and they may be phased in. The digital stuff could be done quickly, but the rest of it would take some time.
Thank you. Just on the other part, I didn't see anything that I saw that was off on what you guys had come up with. It's a great job.
Any other thoughts on it?
Councilmember Peterson?
Yeah, I thought this all looked really good and really in line with the discussion that we've had. I think you've done a great job with this, Charlie and staff. The one comment that I had was I was reading through it, when you read through something again, in the goal, oh shoot, no, I don't know. Goal 4, no, is it? Oh, now I'm fumbling. In the section on the police department and wanting to kind of assess the needs for future staffing, I thought it'd be great to include, hopefully our future staffing needs are primarily filled by our officers that we have now, and perhaps adding something in there about staff retention and a wellness program or something like that, just to kind of include our existing staff and not just kind of try to move on with the new staff, moving forward. Because I think one of the great things about our police department is we have that longevity in our officers, and they really get to know the community and the needs of the community and that sort of thing. So that
Yeah,
was my only comment.
I had from your email that was goal 4 strategy, possibly 4.5. So any concerns from council on that addition? So this isn't your final approval of this document. I'll continue to work it with staff now. We'll add some action items under the additional strategies and bring it back to you for at least one more touch, maybe one more, possibly 2 if needed. All right, thank you, council. That's all for the administrator's report.
Okay, perfect. We'll move on to council member report. Councilmember Cock?
Thank you, Mayor. Last week, I attended the North Star Symposium, which had excellent speakers discussing housing addiction and ways to address homelessness. I heard updates on the 42-unit Volunteer of America housing project that we're familiar about under construction in Burlington, which will include 12 units for veterans, so that's good news. The RJ Group Sedro-Woolley Housing Project also presented. We're familiar with that, and the Swinomish Recovery Housing Project in Anacortes. I attended a very interesting breakout session by Chris Collier of the Snohomish County Housing Authority. He dug into a lot of census data and included quite a bit about Skagit County. For example, in 2024, almost 8,000 low-income households in Skagit County qualified for housing assistance, but there was not enough housing funding to assist them. I emailed Chris today to try to get some more information because I played with his numbers, and according to his numbers, of the 40,000 households in Skagit County, including renters and homeowners, about a quarter are what would be considered very low-income households, so below $40,000 a year. So it's very, it's something we need to keep in mind that a huge number of high-need Skagit County households, whether owner or renter, qualify for assistance and cannot get it. I think the number he quoted was 8,000 low-income households. Skagit County qualified for housing assistance, but there was not housing funding to assist them. I just repeated that, but yeah, I thought it was shocking, quite frankly, that so many of our neighbors are struggling, and apparently quite a high number of those, and I'm going to follow up with him, are seniors. So we owe them more than that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Loy?
Yeah, I just had a quick one. When the city council gave additional time to the pawn shop to change their colors and stuff, I think the council made a good move because it looks far better than it used to, so I would like to mention that since we did it, and congratulations, y'all.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Henderson?
Thank you. Last Thursday, I had the pleasure of being invited by the American Legion up to Union Cemetery to help set up with the flags. There was many volunteers there. A lot of the Legionnaires were there, and they did a fantastic job setting up. They've obviously been very well organized throughout the years, and it went up actually quite quickly. And then on Monday, I, along with a lot of people in the community that I recognized, got to go to the Memorial Day ceremony that the Legion put on. And it was a very good ceremony. It was very well thought out, and the speakers did a fantastic job up there. So if you have the chance to go next year, I would highly recommend it. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Councilmember Lavaca?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I did find out that, you'll probably talk about this, Chief, a little bit, but I found out that there was an accident with an ambulance, head-on collision, but thank God nobody became deceased in that action. And, we just got to be very careful when we're out on the roads at night, and we have to have our due diligence to, work with the people that were around if maybe they shouldn't be on the road. So, without getting too deep into it. So, the park up there, the Homestead, we've been going to that. It turned out really nice. It's a nice trail to walk around. It's a compliment to the county, to the Swift Center and all those parks. That's a really nice compliment over there. See people playing all the time. We talked about the log jam today, the skate park competition. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's happening in August, so right on. Thank you, Charlie, for leading that up, and thank you for the council members that are on that. Kids love it, and it's going to bring some joy to the community. We have a lot of things going on this year with the Blast from the Past, the 250th anniversary, the FIFA events. There's just a lot of times to celebrate, and I'm really excited about the things that we'll be doing in this community, for sure. So I've been hearing good things.
Thank you. Councilmember DeYoung?
Thank you. I too want to echo the thoughts of Councilmember Henderson there, and I'm sure, Madam Mayor, you'll have further thoughts about the Memorial Day ceremony at Union Cemetery. My wife and I participated, and we're quite moved by the mayor's speech and also State Senator Wagner's speech. Nice job on the flags. Went there yesterday to help pick up, but it was too wet to pick up the flags. I won't take too much joy away from Chief Dan there, but I did participate in the shoot-no-shoot exercises in the trailer next to the skate park today. I'll let you tell the story. And, we have to think about the stressors that the workers here at the city endure. And you never know what is on the mind of folks that are encountered. So let's treat everyone with grace and respect, and also respect those that protect us. Additionally, participated in I think, Charlie, are you going to talk more about SCAT?
I was not planning to address that
Okay,
tonight.
well then I'll keep it brief. Did attend the SCAT board meeting, and they are working into their budget sequence, and they are also purchasing 11 new rideshare vehicles. And they went through a reclassification request of one of their workers, and just the pro forma of paying checks and meeting minutes. It was tabled by board member and our mayor, Kesty, the periodic review of board composition and the approval of revised bylaws for Skagit Transit Board of Directors. So that is still an ongoing conversation. And then finally, the Friends of the Skagit, the Central Skagit Library have a few opportunities for volunteering. They have an upcoming book sale from Blast from the Past, and they would love to see some folks come help with the setup and sales support and cleanup. So they have something for everyone, and that starts on June 4th and goes through the 7th. So if you have time in your schedule to help out the Friends of the Central Skagit Library, I encourage you to participate. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Peterson?
I attended a housing mini academy as hosted by the Puget Sound Regional Council and funded by our state legislature. The purpose was to educate elected leaders on innovative approaches to addressing the housing gaps that we're all really facing in our communities. It was really great to connect with other elected leaders to see what projects are coming up in other cities in the area and hear how things are received in the community as well. I also attended the North Star Symposium. It was great to see so many local jurisdictions coming together cooperatively to address health, safety, and housing needs in the Skagit Valley here. This initiative was started in part by one of our fellow Sedro-Woolley residents, and it's really great to see its success on an ongoing basis. I've received several questions from constituents about the Arts Commission and why it's being written out of the city code. I haven't really had a good response for people who wonder if there's actually a legitimate reason for this, but hopefully we'll get some clarity on that tonight.
Perfect. All right, and my mayor's report. This past week, the Veterans of American Legion, George Baldridge, Post 43, and volunteers placed flags on every veteran's headstone in honor of Memorial Day and organized a beautiful ceremony to remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice. I want to thank Councilmember Henderson for volunteering alongside me and the others in helping place the flags. It was truly an honor to speak at the ceremony alongside State Senator Keith Wagner, who gave a beautiful and heartfelt speech. We were also honored to have Gold Star family of Nathan Nakis in attendance. Nathan, a fellow Sedro-Woolley High School graduate and U.S. Army specialist, gave his life while serving during Operation Iraqi Freedom in Iraq in 2003. His sacrifice and the sacrifices of so many others will never be forgotten by this community. And next Friday is graduation, and we also like to congratulate the SWHS class of 2026 and wish them all the best in their future endeavors. And moving on, we will move to public comments. Before we begin public comment this evening, I would like to review the procedures governing public comment under Council Policy and Parliamentary Procedure. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. Please begin by stating your name and your affiliation with the city. All remarks are to be directed at the council and the chair, not to members of the audience. To maintain decorum and ensure all participants have the opportunity to speak without disruption, applause, demonstrations, outbursts, or other audience reactions are not permitted during the public comment period. Please note that the council will not engage in dialogue or respond to questions during public comments. However, the council appreciates and will consider all comments presented. And the first we have is Andrew Champ.
My name is Andrew Champ. I live in Ward 2, Lucas Drive, and I was here to talk about the Art Council Commission. Last time, there was a lot of concerns and comments about it. I held my tongue because I didn't know much about it at the time, but after a couple of weeks of looking into it, there doesn't seem to be much more into it. They seem to not be doing anything. Since June of 2023, their agendas are missing. Their published minutes are missing from the website, which I think is probably an issue for the city with them being accountable for those types of things. I heard them accuse the city that they're trying to consolidate power. I don't know what power they need to consolidate. The Art Commission has no power and no authority anyways. It's an advisory board. And if their board were to cease to exist in an official capacity, what stops any of them from meeting at their house once a month, once a week? I would say actions speak louder than words, and what prevents them from raising money for art. We've got a mural here off of the bullpen, one of the better preserved ones because it doesn't get any sunlight, but right in the bottom left corner it says, "A gift from the Lions Club." So, again, I don't know what responsibility the city has or directive they have for supplying money for additional art. Seems, again, like if art is so important to these people, put their money where their mouth is, raise the money, present it to the city, maybe get a match, maybe get some public land to display it. Otherwise, find private property, buy it yourself. I spent $4,000 on a chainsaw carving, put it in front of my building. Doesn't get me extra rent. I just did it because I wanted to. As far as the city not having any soul, because apparently that's what art causes, I don't know of any other small city in Skagit County that has more art than us. I counted 39 carvings, 11 murals, 7 historical steam power and heritage type displays, and that doesn't even include all the stuff clustered around the museum or the house on Ferry Street with like 10 carvings. So again, to say we don't have art in basically 5 square city blocks is a pretty ridiculous thing to say. And again, you want art so bad, do something about it instead of asking for grant money. I did the math. 40 grand of taxpayer money at 2.2% tax rate that the city gets, that single piece of art would have to bring $1.8 million of sales just because of that piece of art to pay for itself.
Thank you, Andrew. Next, we have Randy Collins.
Randy Collins, resident of Sedro-Woolley, Chair of the Arts Commission. I just want to say this whole situation is really ludicrous. The hypocrisy of eliminating the Arts Commission while trying to resurrect a historical preservation commission, which would require the same city resources you claim are unavailable for the arts, is clearly self-serving and contradictory. These commissions are not mutually exclusive. Both could coexist and be successfully supported at the same time. And I'd also like to address the so-called comprehensive review of the Arts Commission that Mayor Kesty claims to have conducted. I requested and received all public records related to that review, and out of the 23 emails and 1 text message provided, 11 emails were in support of the Arts Commission, and that doesn't even include the overwhelming support we've received online. Oddly enough, there were no supporting materials such as analysis, meeting notes, or any findings explaining the decision to disband us. A legitimate comprehensive review would have all those things. But what was especially concerning was a screenshot of a text Mayor Kesty sent to Councilman Nick Lavaca on Sunday, April 26th at 5:20 p.m., discussing the commissions that were not currently active, including the Arts Commission, in her email. Her message ended with the statement, "People can get arts wherever they need to which Councilman Lavaca replied, "Funny, you can bring back the Arts Commission when you get settled in," while also admitting he didn't even know what the Arts Commission does. That exchange raises serious concerns about decisions being discussed behind the scenes before any public discussion has taken place, especially because they admitted they don't understand how the commission works or its contributions to the community. The Arts Commission has also been called inactive and ineffective. Yet, when the metal fish are going to be installed at Highway 9 and Jameson Roundabout, the Arts Commission deserves full credit for making that project happen, because we've been working on it for nearly 2 years. I met with metal artist Dave Barcott numerous times to discuss the design and placement of the salmon. I coordinated with welding teacher Danny Goss so the high school students could help assemble the fish. I secured donated materials from Skagit Steel to help complete the project, and I worked with the Washington State Conservation District regarding future roundabout plantings. And former Mayor Julia Johnson was the one who originally initiated contact with Dave and passed the project on to me in October 2024 through the Arts Commission. And since then, the Arts Commission has continued working to move this project forward. We never brought this project before the council because it required no city funding. Dave recently informed me that he met with Mayor Kesty, and during that meeting, a new installation plan for the fish in the roundabout was apparently decided. But what's concerning is that the Arts Commission's involvement was never mentioned. The public deserves to know that the Arts Commission has invested years of volunteer work in planning of this project long before that meeting took place. So, Madam Mayor, you often speak about your love of history, so I want to leave you with this. History remembers the leaders who empowered their communities, and it also remembers the ones who silenced them. Thank you.
I apologize because it's hard to read. Is it Jane? Okay. Thank you.
Hi, council members. I'm a member of the current Sedro-Woolley Arts Commission, or SWAC. SWAC was created by city ordinance as well as city code in 2023, 3 years ago. So that's just when we started. Should council choose to reread this code, they would see how SWAC upheld their responsibilities as laid out in the code. We recruited and interviewed potential members for SWAC and developed policies and procedures. We reached out to other arts commissions to learn how best to proceed, talked with the community, schools, and local artists, started work on a roundabout beautification project with no funds provided by the city, and began a list of potential public art ideas. This is all done by volunteers at monthly meetings, and I'm sorry if we didn't move fast enough for some people on the council. In rereading the city code, one also sees how the council failed in their obligations to SWAC. City Code 2.44.080 states a municipal arts fund will be established as well as an operational budget. SWAC has never received a budget from the city, and the municipal arts fund remains at zero, despite options to fund it, not through taxes paid by residents, but through other sources such as the hotel-motel tax. As to council's complaints that SWAC did not present to them, nowhere is that required in the ordinance or code. The only reporting requirement is that SWAC reports to the mayor with an annual plan of proposed projects to be funded by the Municipal Arts Fund. Again, there is no money in the Arts Fund, so no required annual plan. Mayor Johnson was kept abreast of the roundabout project as it is on city property. Also, there's a city representative attending SWAC meetings. One would logically assume the city rep is a conduit to city administration, letting them know what is going on. Also, the council could simply look at the minutes SWAC provides on the city website to see what SWAC is doing. Those minutes might be taken off now, I don't know, but we certainly were submitting minutes to the city rep to be posted for the last 2 years since I've been on the board. And finally, it would have helped if a council person actually talked to someone at SWAC with concerns or asked us to come talk to the council. How else would we know that coming to council meetings was your expectation? It is interesting that 2 weeks after Ms. Kesty was appointed mayor, she already decided she wanted to eliminate SWAC. I am not only disappointed that she seems to have prioritized this action, but this is part of what seems to be a pattern. Eliminating opportunities for volunteer citizen involvement in our local government, and this does result in the consolidation of power and a narrower viewpoint. Research shows the value of public art in a community, and each city in Skagit County larger than 1,000 people has an arts commission that develops public art projects for their city and provides community input. If Mayor Kesty, in her non-elected position, in office for 1.5 years, chooses to take control of potential public art projects here with no organized community involvement, I feel that is unfortunate for us all. Thank you.
Thank you. Ann Lau.
I thought I was signing in.
Oh, okay. No worries. No worries. Beverly Loudermilk.
These are never my height. Can you hear me here? Okay. Beverly Loudermilk. I've been a resident here for 20+ years, and I want to thank you guys for this opportunity. It's my understanding that someone has volunteered some funding for the Arts Commission, and now the council presents time constraints. So my first question is, how much time are we really speaking of that you guys are going to lose by having this Arts Commission? An Arts Commission is one more act of support by the community. I feel strongly about this because while there's often support for academics and sports for our young people, the arts are often neglected. An Arts Commission is a great opportunity for encouragement of talent, whether young or old. It has the potential to also promote our city and support our businesses with events. I see this as a win-win. I fail to see negatives. I challenge our elected officials to examine their motives. Is it power, micromanaging, negativity, or just being ornery? I make no accusations. Please proceed thoughtfully. The people who elected you deserve better.
All right, and now we'll go online. Is there anybody online? Woody, would you let me know if anybody raises their hand?
If anybody attending remotely would like to participate in public comment, please raise your hand and I will go according to how we view them. I am seeing no hands up remotely.
Okay, and there's no one else left in here that would like to have public comment? We've got one more. That's okay.
Thank you. Good evening. My name's Mary Ann Atkins. I'm a long-term resident of the town of Sedro-Woolley. Love living here. I know it's a really big decision that you guys are making this evening, and I know it's one that is not being taken lightly by yourselves or by the citizens of our town. So with so many opinions going around, I thought looking at your vision statement might be of some help. And I'll read the vision statement for you. Sedro-Woolley is a friendly city that is characterized by city government and citizens working together to achieve a prosperous, vibrant, and safe community. That's a really great vision. The partnership between the city and the Arts Commission seems to be a perfect fit in supporting this vision. But wait, maybe this is not the current council's vision. Maybe, rather than being a guiding document in decision-making, your mission vision statements are just words on paper. In that case, why don't you just tear them up and start over, reflecting the true values that this current city council holds? Thank you.
Thank you. All right. One more. Yep, come on.
My name is Dave Jellison. I've been a resident here for almost 30 years. So first thing I would like to say is, Mayor Kesty, welcome. Thank you. I know it's always hard to take over somebody else's mess, but I would also like to talk about something different, if I may. As I said, I've been a resident here for almost 30 years. We're kind of a farming, logging community. I have never once seen any of our farmers set up a stand on a corner or out in an empty parking lot, you know, in the parking lot of Lowe's or Home Depot. But over the last couple of years, it's been kind of a mess. We see these people setting up stands on the corner of State and Township, selling fruits and vegetables. Nobody knows if they have licenses, right? We don't know that they have a vendor's license or anything else. And I don't understand why they're being allowed to do this when we have a farmer's garden or a farmer's market every Wednesday downtown Sedro-Woolley. So I would like to just kind of point that out. I think it's kind of ghetto. It looks bad, right? So we'd just like to point that out and see if we can't divert those people from doing that and get them into the farmer's market every Wednesday rather than being on a corner 3-4 days a week.
Thank you. Chester, come on up.
I got a question about that gentleman just talked. You know, there's a lot of, the stuff at the farmer's market down there is basically expensive food. You can't buy nothing less than $20 for anything over there. And these
Chester, you
other
gotta
people's
speak
got
to us.
shops around these little stores. Hey, at least that stuff you can buy, somebody can buy the stuff. I mean, I go through that farmer's market all the time.
Chester,
You can't buy that stuff.
you gotta talk up here to us.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
That's all right.
And, you know, and there's a farmhouse on the Cook Road that sells anything you need. Milk, whole 9 yards, strawberries, raspberries, the whole 9 yards. It's a farm, and I know who they are. They're good people. I mean, you want to have this to one farmer's market? No, I wouldn't. If somebody's got something to sell, sell it. If they can set up in front of their home or whatever, or down at those stores down there, let them do it. I'm sure they got a license. Let them do it. They got to make a living somehow. I mean, I'm all for it. If any store in town wants to set up something like that, let some people come in there, some small farm, want to sell their products, why not? I mean, this ain't a town of, they're supposed to be working together. This whole town's supposed to work together. But they don't do that. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I'd rather have somebody in a parking lot selling strawberries, raspberries, or whatever they got to sell. Sell it. I mean, they're making a little bit of money, because a lot of these people that's doing that don't make that kind of money. Most of them are on fixed income, like I am. I mean, why not? I mean, he's down all these guys that's doing these little shops, whatever, selling strawberries and stuff like that. And that farmer's market, it's a joke. I've been through there. The food, there's a few people there are fine. But a lot of them got a small basket of strawberries, $15? Give me a break. I mean, you can go to the store and buy them cheaper than that. I mean, I don't like to buy down there because their stuff is too expensive. I mean, a lot of people go in there because they're on fixed income. Why would they want to buy something that's expensive down there? I mean, I'm all for these small places, smaller farms selling their stuff at, if they can get a hold of the people that own the store, let them do it up front. Why not? So that's all I got to say. Only got 3 minutes anyway.
All right, thank you, Chester.
Yep.
Okay.
Because I know you've been missing me.
I know, it's been a hot minute.
I've been gone for a while.
All right.
Sally Carlson, I would like to address your planning department.
But you got to address us.
I know,
Yeah, yeah.
but I live out there off F&S Grade, where you live, Kevin. And I know they're punching through Jones Road. I don't understand. I want some clarity on where you think those people are going after they shoot under the railroad tracks. Because you're either sending them back up F&S Grade Road, or you're sending them through a residential housing development. Those are the only two options when you get to the end of Jones Road. Can you?
I can't now, but we hear you and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, please do,
Yeah.
because I'm confused.
Okay.
If the trucks are coming down 9 and they take Jones Road, they're not going to want to go up F&S Grade. And at that point, they can't go through Roar, or whatever that's called, Klinger. They can't go through there. There's a weight limit on that road. So.
We'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sorry, I didn't sign up, but I didn't know I was going to make it, and so I'm just kind of frazzled here. But I was just sitting back and listening to the comments on the Arts Commission, and I just always have thought about almost every day. So I have a small downtown business, and last year they started the Central Elementary, the kids doing the art walk. And I will say that has been the most touching thing I've ever volunteered to do as a business owner here. This is only the second year. And when I'm closing up at night and I'm turning the lights off, I'm exhausted. I'm just sitting in my chair, just kind of, meditating and listening to a little girl and her dad when they find their artwork, when they finally see her artwork and how her face lights up. I can see that from inside. They don't know I'm in there. And I can hear the comments, and she's so proud of her artwork, and that everyone gets to see. And that's happening quite often. I would say over the last couple of weeks, probably 2 or 3 times a night. And I just want to say the look on those kids' faces, it means a lot to them. And I just hope that you think about that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll be closing public comment now.
Madam Mayor?
Yes?
If I may interrupt, we do have one person remotely that raised their hand, a Joe
Kunzler. I can see that. Okay. Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, thank you, Mayor Cresty. Joe Kunzler here. As you are probably well aware by now, we're having a problem getting our council representative on the SCADA Transit Board, and I didn't know about all the backstory until I checked after the SCADA Transit Board meeting last week, so my apologies to Councilmember DeYoung. I fully support whatever actions Sedro-Woolley City government wants to take to make sure that our voice is represented and that the voices of Concrete and Wakana are also represented on the SCADA Transit Board. The frankly misbehavior of the SCADA Transit Executive Director has left me shaken, and definitely is something that should raise questions about her future tenure with the agency. Again, I fully support whatever actions the council decides to do to make sure the Councilmember DeYoung is seated, and I want to thank all of you for your public service. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no one else online and no one else in the chambers, we'll close public comment, 6:42, and we will move on to unfinished business. Charlie?
Yes, the first item on here is ordinance 211726, repealing Sedro-Woolley Municipal Code, Chapter 2.44, Arts Commission, and amending Chapter 2.92, Gifts, Loans, and Donations of Works of Art. This is a second read. We did a presentation at the last meeting, answered a fair amount of questions. Obviously, there's public comment as well related to this item. And Dan Curtis, our city attorney, is available to answer any legal questions anybody might have about this action. But at this point, council, I'm available for more questions as well if there are any.
Kevin, do you have a question, or is your light just accidentally on?
Sorry.
It's okay. Oh, sorry. You were hiding behind the tissues. Councilmember Koch?
Yes. So on the Arts Commission, the arguments put forward to eliminate the Arts Commission, that it is inactive and costs the city money, do not make sense. We've read a number of letters and heard from highly enthusiastic members of the Arts Commission. They told us the Arts Commission only pretty much recently, within the last couple of years, became more active, planning projects that we heard about tonight and reaching out to the arts community. On cost, that also falls flat. Councilmember Peterson has volunteered to replace the paid staff member taking notes at Arts Commission meetings. Also, there's some discussion of standing up a City Historical Commission. I am a big supporter of celebrating Sedro-Woolley's past. However, how is that not a cost to the city needing a staff presence? Why eliminate an Arts Commission, which currently has active and engaged members, and stand up a Historical Commission currently with no members? Illogical. Taking this out of the hands of volunteers who have devoted their valuable time and assigning to City Council is the exact reverse of citizen involvement. Cutting off this current energy and enthusiasm by Art Commission members is a mistake. Why not give the Arts Commission 6 months or a year to show what they can do, concluding some of their current projects? Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lavaca?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wasn't here for the last meeting when the discussion happened. I did watch it, and I was really actually quite taken and excited for the community's response and the Art Commission's response, and to talk to some people from the Art Commission a little bit when I did a chamber thing separately. And then also I talked to people in the community. I was actually invited to be on the Arts Commission when the mayor first formulated it, and I thought it would have been an awesome idea. And I said, yes, I'd love to, but I never heard back on getting onto it. I would have probably done a bit more being on it. That was my hope and vision at the time. Before I got on the Arts Commission, I had made up, archways that I presented to the council, that I had went through and had an idea and was generating funding in the hundreds of thousands of dollars resources and trying to work that through the Parks and Recreation and then, with the executive branches as a mayor. And those are ideas to go over the truss on either side and be able to provide maybe an arts, a little arts exhibit on either side of that truss as well, that would be able to provide some sort of art exchange from different communities. So I thought that would have probably been really good to go right before the Arts Commission. Other things I did when I first got into this position was I went ahead and did up some, going around looking at all the entrances and looking at where we started in our community and what those roundabouts could look like. And I brought all that stuff before the community, before the council. And I presented it to the mayor as well. I also went through and I took pictures, not of our community, but pictures of all of the Northern State buildings. I sent those pictures over to the county to see if we can get those fixed up because it wasn't very artistic, but also trying to look for other ways we can improve not just our own community, but the community around us as well. I also put together pamphlets that I showed as examples when I first got on and brought that to the council to say, hey, is there a way we can do some Parks and Rec pamphlet and create some sort of engagement with the community and art and spruce up our community. I also paid to have a montage, a video montage made with my own photographer and drone guide to go through and videotape the T-ball tournaments, the Little League tournaments, the Lager Rodeo. I didn't get Blast from the Past, but I did get the concerts in the park and a number of other things, and created a montage just as a sample. These were all samples, and I wasn't donating them to the city, but I was bringing them forth to say, we've got to do better. We can do better. Let's do better with our art. If I was on the Arts Commission, I would have went through immediately and taken pictures of all the murals of all of our buildings and went ahead and put those in a digital format and then overlaid new ideas of new murals, brought that before the council and said, and the mayor, and said, what do you think about these ideas, up or down, or should we go this direction or that direction? I would have done a visual concept of the city to see what that looked like, but none of that ever happened. And when I wrote that text, it was in response to a screenshot from a Facebook post that the Arts Commission was now very active because it was looking like it was going to get decommissioned. And I said, well, that's funny because I don't know what they do. Because I didn't know what they do. I wanted to be on the Arts Commission, but I've never seen them in the council with any ideas. Were there minutes that were submitted that are posted? I don't think minutes get removed. So I'm not sure. And so I would be in favor of the idea of letting the Arts Commission kind of stand for a while, except in this case, we do have a new mayor that's in the place, and I want to respect the position of the new mayor and the role she wants to take and possibly bring it back in 6 months. I would advise, or I would advocate for any community members to come together as a whole and a team, that no one stops you from doing that, as was pointed out earlier, and come up with ideas just like these and bring them before the council or even on private property and go forward with it. I know that I was able to generate quite a bit of funding just on some of the simple ideas I had, plus out of my own pocket, and I know that the city has shown interest in helping to support some of that, maybe under different leadership, but it wasn't moving forward at the time. So I did want to see the Arts Commission really succeed. It is a passion of mine. It was the best subject I ever did in school, and it's the number one thing that I really feel in communities makes it shine. So I do have a love for the Arts Commission, but in this case, with all the commissions, I would side with the idea that you want to do some change up and consolidate and figure out where you're at, where your bearings are at, what's the priority, and then in time revisit that and bring that back. One of the big things I noticed when I first came on is that we have a Parks and Rec board on the website, and it's always been empty the entire time I've been on it, and I've advocated so much to get that filled up and put people on that board and see something where we can get these these park ideas that we have throughout the community and get these placed together so we have a Parks and Rec circuit, right? But it's always remained empty. So there's been a lot of inaction in those areas with the commissions and committees, and I would love to see more in those. So I would take this as an opportunity to come back with a vengeance and say, let's come up with some amazing artwork ideas, bring that before the city, get some funding on that action, and you know that you have the support, because I believe everybody in this commission or this council has said, we love the arts. We want to see our community thrive and succeed in that and be beautiful. But when there's no action, that means the ideas that I bring forth that get shot down, or others, because we have an arts commission, don't go forward. So we really kind of wanted to see that. I feel I was told, yeah, we've got an arts commission for that. We'll do that. And so I was working with our previous mayor on some of that too, and would have loved again to be on that arts commission. That's what comment I would have made from the last one, and the comment that I would make on this one after reading through it.
Thank you. Councilmember Peterson?
I have some comments here, but first I'd like to say, dang, Nick, let's get you on the Arts Commission.
Right? I want it.
That's awesome. That was so inspiring. Basically, all I have to say, and I think I said this last time, is, this is an active commission. The budget and staffing doesn't seem to be the primary issue here, and everyone on the council here, I believe, really values civic engagement. This is something we've talked about in our strategic planning and elsewhere. So I'd like to see the Arts Commission continue. If we're considering ending it, Paul and Nick both mentioned, let's bring it back in 6 months and see what the commission has done. That seems like an option. I'm sure, we've seen so much public engagement on this topic. I'm sure that it would be stable and show itself to be reliable and productive.
Thank you. Is there any more conversation from the council? Then, okay, Councilmember Henderson?
Thank you, Mayor. That's incredible work, Councilman Lavaca, by the way. A lot of good stuff in there. A lot of stuff I'd like to see around the city. So one of the points I keep coming back to is, for me personally, I think that the arts would benefit quite greatly being a community-led organization. I don't really see at this point why we need more government. I think we should have less, and then people are able to streamline their projects a little bit better, a little bit easier, without a commission being, either in the way of people bringing ideas to us or being able to do art. There was a community member that offered to pay for the Arts Commission, but I'm wondering if that's just for arts in general. I didn't really get that far with him, but a lot of people have spoken very passionately about it, and it seems like this would be best ran for the time being, being community-led or even forming a nonprofit to do the arts. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it.
All right, thank you. Well, this is the second read, so does the council feel like they'd like to make a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion on would we be willing to revisit this in 6 months, have a discussion, see what they come up with? Or just discuss that at another time? I guess you get, the Arts Commission, I shouldn't address the Arts Commission always bring stuff back as an arts community and go, instead of Arts Commission, to an arts community. So, yeah, I would be in favor of putting forth the motion to approving ordinance 211726, repealing the Sedro-Woolley Municipal Code, Chapter 2.44, and amending it to Chapter 2.92.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion on the table by Councilmember Lavaca, seconded by Councilmember Henderson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign.
Opposed.
Opposed.
So it is 2 to 4. 4 to 2. Motion passes. All right. Moving on to ordinance number 211626. Charlie?
Yes, I'm going to turn this over to Dan Curtis and Chief McElraith as well, but we'll start with Dan Curtis, our city attorney. This involves parks, and Dan, I'm just going to turn it over to you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Charlie. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a second read, and I do want to make the council aware of just a few small changes that have been made since the first read, and I do have a slight correction. At the end of the third paragraph of section 2 on page 3 of 6, it should read responding law enforcement officer rather than code enforcement officer. The changes made since the first read are references to staff or mayor's designee. Removing violators has been changed to law enforcement. As Chief McElraith pointed out, that this is more practical. Staff can call police and police can issue the notice, and this fixes several issues. It simplifies the potential issue with appearance of fairness with regard to the administrative appeal, because the appellant will go before the Parks and Rec supervisor to appeal a notice issued by the police department, rather than having a potential situation under the former draft where an appellant could potentially go before the Parks and Rec supervisor to appeal a notice issued by Parks staff. Other changes to the notice and policy document were either minor corrections or followed from the change mentioned above. For example, there is no need for reference of copies being delivered to the police department by staff when the police department is now the only issuer of the notice form. I'm happy to take questions.
Are there any questions from the council? Oh, Councilmember Kopp?
Yes, I really strongly agree with the law enforcement. When I worked at Western Washington University, I was often involved as a communications director with trespassing people, including one faculty member, sadly. And at first, some of the officers on campus just tried to give warnings, especially the library, where there was significant problems every now and then. And we just had to move to campus police to trespass them. That was the only thing that was safer for the staff, so that they could just call the police and say, I have somebody you need to deal with, I don't want to deal with them. So I applaud this change in the regs. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Henderson?
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Police writing the trespassing out is pretty standard practice across the board. So I like that. You know, if you've worked in the parks industry before, you trespass a lot of people, and that's just the way it is, because of, you know, not following the rules, disrespecting the property that everyone else owns. And so, you know, I like those few changes to this ordinance that has been in place for a very long time. So, yeah, I'm good with everything that's in here.
Councilmember DeYoung?
Thank you. Excuse me. It's a cottonwood allergies season. The spring snow. Dan, thanks so much for the work on this, and both Dans. I am very happy to see a robust due process and appeal process. And it can take up to 6 weeks to make that exclusion effective if they work the appeal process through. So I think there's been some great thought put into this, and I want to thank you for your hard work.
Councilmember Peterson?
Yeah, as I was reviewing this, I remembered last time we were discussing it, Councilmember Henderson had mentioned that it would be good to just post the rules in the park, and I really liked that idea. reading this again, I could not for the life of me understand the sentence about where the rules are posted. I think it says on the city website, on location, or in somewhere else. Is that what's going on? Is that what's going on there? Dan, maybe you can clarify that for me. This is the final sentence on page 3 of 6.
Yeah, the intent is for, the policy to be posted on the website, and then at prominent places within the parks, at the discretion of the Parks and Rec supervisor.
Do we have any Parks and Rec supervisors that don't want the rules posted on site in the park? I mean,
No,
is there a reason
the
we wouldn't
discretion
just post
element
them
is
in the
meant to
park?
be like, what is the prominent location at the park? So,
Okay.
they are to be posted on the website and at the park.
Okay.
At a prominent location, the location is discretionary.
Okay. Because in the language here, it says on the city website and as special rules for facilities or other certain areas therein, or on prominent signage on location, or in any other manner calculated to give notice. Because it does say or in the text.
I think, if I may, on that line, it says and special rules for facilities or certain areas therein, there should be like maybe a semicolon. So it's or for just the facilities. You got that one, and it's got to be in the facilities. Where in the facilities could go in certain areas or a location that the supervisor projects. So you got to do both, but the sentence, you're right, the grammar is.
I think it would be great to clarify the sentence so it just says on the website and on location at the discretion of the parks supervisor, right? Because that's what we're all intending to communicate here.
Dan?
I'd be happy to make that amendment if the council would like.
Do others feel that way as well? I'm seeing Henderson?
That's fine.
Okay. Yep, I'm seeing a lot of head shakes in support of that. So with that, they are looking for action. Oh, excuse me, Councilmember DeYoung?
And here it is. Madam Mayor, I move ordinance 2116-26, amending chapter 12.36, City Parks, Recreational Vehicle Facilities, and Community Center.
Second that motion, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Let me just get this part out. I'm just not able to get it out fast enough. So we have a motion made by Councilmember DeYoung, seconded by Councilmember Lavaca. But go ahead, Councilmember Peterson, for discussion.
Yeah, is the motion to include those changes or no?
Yes, with the amendment, yes. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Procurement policy. Take it away, Bill.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. We talked about this briefly at the last council meeting. Basically, this is a resolution to amend the Chapter 15.1 of the procurement policy to allow staff more flexibility and able to react to short-term grant opportunities. So what the amendment basically does is no longer require staff to get council permission to apply for a grant, but when we apply for a grant and we receive a successful grant application or grant award, then we come back to council prior to execution of any grant or agreement. We did that last week as well, even though there was no match. And part of that's because when you sign a grant contract, it's still a contract the county or the city is entering into. And so it's in a way kind of a redundant concept because my familiarity is regardless of what contract I have with the city, I ask for permission for the mayor to execute. But that's when we would present a successful grant application to council, present the match that's required to meet that, grant obligation and also what our funding status is and how we're going to meet that grant matching obligation. So that's, I guess, the long and short of what we're requesting with this resolution.
Are there any questions? No? So you'd be looking for action tonight then, if so?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
This action also, there was, I don't know if it's a old legacy piece, but it refers to the city supervisor and city administrator, and so this resolution is also correcting those Scribner errors.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor or designee to sign the resolution number 1183, TAC 26, amending Chapter 15.1 of the city procurement policy to allow staff to apply for project grant opportunities on their own reconnaissance.
I'll
And-
second. Oh,
And
sorry.
engage council approval for acceptance before entering into the grant agreement contracts.
Okay.
Second that.
Okay. I have a motion made by Councilmember Lavaca, seconded by Councilmember Koch. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Now on to new business. Ordinance 2118-26, amendments to Title 15 and Chapters 12.32 and 17.100.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This evening, we're bringing to you some amendments to our current code regarding addressing and street naming standards. This is something that our department has been working on. It's separate from the comp plan update. This has nothing to do with the development regs that we're updating. This is just something that's been needed to get done, and we finally have been, and we're finally here. So this went through the Planning Commission, and our guy Ashton worked on this along with Nicole. I think Ashton is ready to present tonight to council.
Yeah, I'm ready to present. So about a year ago, we had, around the same time, we got a recommendation from Skagit County, as well as our city attorney, to get some more teeth on our addressing and our street naming standards. Right now, they're primarily based on staff discretion, and as you can see in my attachments, ordinances dating all the way back to 1915. So I think it's about time to update our code for this. Currently, the draft amendments that you guys have in your packet right here is just an overview of how staff is currently reviewing and approving addressing and street naming here in town. There is one new aspect about street naming, and I'll get to that in a second. But as far as building address assignment goes, during the permit process, they will start with us in the planning department. Before we give them certificate of occupancy for that structure, we will route a new address for review to our fire department and as well as the Skagit County 911 Center. Once we receive approval from those, that address becomes official and we route it out to the assessor, Sedro-Woolley Utility Billing Department, the post office, all the necessary agencies that need to have those addresses continually updated. And so this language here specifies a lot of the technicalities for how to assign an address. You'll see a lot of like legal descriptions for real property in here that's describing the grid lines for where the addressing starts and ends, where our blocks are, how do we figure out, where the block begins, where it ends, and where's the midpoint. And then just some common sense language about what can't be in an address. An address needs to be made up of numbers that we are familiar with, and just basic information like that. And then there is a second part to this code update as well that talks about street naming. Currently, it is largely based on staff discretion. It's we would like some more guardrails on how we assign streets, especially if we're getting new subdivisions that are coming in. We have a new comprehensive plan. A lot of things are changing with development, so this seems like a good time to introduce that. We got feedback from several different departments, all of the departments in the city, as well as Skagit County 911, their GIS center, and our city attorney, who is a department here. And they've reviewed this, and they feel that the discretion that staff has when it comes to street naming is sufficient. The planning department, the city engineer, the fire chief, as well as the 911 director all need to approve a street name. So we all need to come to an agreement, and the planning department is sort of the coordinator for that. They will send out all of the requests, any sort of updates, or if a member of the public wants to be notified, the planning department will handle those public notices as well. Planning department is just a good central point for something like that. And then the new part about the street name change is we've introduced code for a community petition in case community members collectively want to change their own street name. There's some requirements for that. A certain amount, 75% of the adjoining property owners need to be in agreement for that street name, as well as the petitioners need to provide the updated street name signage themselves. We'll post the signs, but they need to pay for the labor and the materials to obtain those signs. And those fees will be coming to you later through a separate resolution that we will coordinate with the finance department. So we're not looking for action tonight, but I am looking for your feedback, recommendations, anything to change before we request action at a later date.
Thank you. Councilmember DeYoung?
Thank you. This has been needed for a very long time. So on Ward 6, we have the triangle, which for those is between Minkler, Fruitdale, and Home. So is it, let me see here, 9732 or 830? Is it 820 or 9706? So it depends on what, because they have to display both. And when I'm out doorbelling, talking to folks, those people who lived there for a long time are very frustrated about where their packages go or not getting their mail. So I'm glad we're addressing this situation. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Koch?
Yes, and thank you for your excellent work on this. It's an excellent update. I had a question. Sometimes I drive around town, I'll GPS somebody I'm going to visit, and I don't see a street address, and I worry about that for 911. Do we have any information, like a brochure that says you got to do it this way? It can't be behind the holly bush, or at least on the website?
We don't have a brochure or anything handy like that, though that's a good idea. Something in this code update that we don't have now is that we have the authority to go say, hey, you need to put up your address sign according to these standards. Right now, we have the specs for where that address sign goes, but there's no point in the code that says you need to display your address sign at this point. It just says during the permitting process. That's a little vague. But I think that's something that could be expanded on, maybe just like a one-page flyer or a little postcard that says, hey, come contact us for an address sign, and we'll tell you where the best place to put it is, would be helpful.
Okay, and you talk to developers about that when they're putting those on, right?
We haven't spoken with developers specifically about address placards. Developers do have the option of obtaining their own address signs, just as long as they're compliant with our reflective requirement, then that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember LaVaca?
Thank you. Ashton, is that something where, so you got your own residential house and you got your address sign on your house. This code change would now then have maybe code enforcement going to people's houses and saying, yeah, you're gonna have to redo your address sign a little bit, or it's not very legible, or?
Not everybody in the entire city is gonna have to update their address.
Sure.
We're not doing a citywide address change or saying everybody needs to come up to these new standards here. But if there is, a situation where we cannot tell what building address this is, we will have more teeth to say, hey, you need to get an address sign up. Otherwise, we do have the code enforcement options that we can fall back onto if we just cannot get a hold of anybody to get an address sign up.
Okay. And there would be a number of warnings for that and ability to communicate well.
Yeah, I believe at the end, and I can verify this, there's a reference to Title 18. Title 18 is our code enforcement. We do, in that title, it does specify that written warnings go out first before you do notice of violations.
All right.
Well, I like the idea of everything. Yeah. It's difficult because we do have people that maybe they do get grandfathered in or something like that, but we should have an address available for first responders.
Thank you. Okay, no. All right, well, this is a first read. Is there any more discussion on this? All right, hearing none, then we'll move on to professional services agreement.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we are proceeding with our wastewater treatment plant upgrade design, and this And the design phase is, the design of this project is broken up to phases based on how funding becomes available for that design phase. So the overall design of the wastewater treatment plant is estimated to be about $2.2 to $2.3 million. Right now, the city has acquired $1.2 million of those dollars for grant funding. And currently, the current amendment for the design really covers the creation of the facility plan or the engineering report for Department of Ecology, which is really your feasibility study, where you outline your different alternatives, you pick a preferred alternative, and you decide what direction that design's going to go. And so to fund the first stage, so this is just really an amendment to allow them to begin to transition to a full design phase. And we will be applying for the next phase of money in October from Public Works Board for $1 million, and that will get them through 2027. So the money we have now will get them through 2026. And so this new contract amendment brings their new contract not to exceed to, $1,241,638. And right now we have $1,250,000 of money with no match. So right now we are using other people's money entirely. And so, any questions?
Do I have any questions? Councilmember Cobb?
Yeah, thanks, Bill, and thanks again for the very informative tour of the wastewater treatment plant. You have a great staff over there. When we put together our plan and get the requisite funding, how many years do you envision it will be good for before it needs another major renovation? I mean, what?
Right. With what we are planning to do, we shouldn't need another major renovation for at least 30 years, if not 40. And part of that's because of the new technology we're going to is much more robust than our current oxidation ditch and just doesn't suffer from the same wear and tear. And our oxidation ditch has lasted this city over 50 years, which is extremely good life, but it is certainly at the end of its life. So that's the target. When you're going to make this kind of investment into an industrial facility that serves the community, you certainly want that longevity.
And is the funding or part of the project also the wall to protect the plant from flooding?
No.
Or is that separate?
That's going to be separate. And part of that's just because, so there's two different things for flood resiliency is what you're talking about. So this plant will, with the new facilities going into this plant, will be individually flood redundant. And then the wall itself is going to, I'm going to attempt to apply for a BRIC grant at the end of July that specifically is designed for community redundancy. Flooding is one of those qualifying things. And then that will give an extra, and the added layer of protection to that. And that's basically going to be for some sort of flood revetment or flood wall that only really has to be about 4 or 5 feet high. You know, we're really placed at the top end of that 100-year floodplain. But at the same time, the new clarifiers, the new compartmentalized aeration basin, plug flow reactor will all be kind of at an elevated position on site, so they're individual. And then any blowers or mechanical equipment will also be elevated, so they're individually redundant. And then we'll be planning for that. I call it the Southwest Sedro-Woolley flood protection as a separate effort because it's starting to get out of the wheelhouse of a wastewater treatment plant upgrade.
All right, is there any more discussion on this? Councilmember DeYoung?
Bill, is there any urgency on this? We can wait for a second or third read?
We could wait for a second read, but pretty soon we're going to be delaying things if we, if we go to like the end of July or something. But if you'd like, I can bring this back on the first meeting in June for approval.
I would like to see this sooner than later. It's been my experience over 14 years of this is our #1 project, so especially for safety, and I know in my family history of losing family because of poor water quality. So it's personal. So I really appreciated your time-lapse videography back in December of how close the flood came. And we cannot afford to have that inundated. I know as one of the, I had an opportunity to talk to our U.S. Representative Larson the other day, and I said, for me personally, this would be a critical project that we must get done. Thank you.
Yeah. And I guess just if I could take a quick moment, we'll also have more amendments so the Public Works Board funding is on a quarterly cycle as opposed to an annual cycle, which is why we're going primarily with that funding. That funding also comes with a 15% loan forgiveness piece, so it comes with a grant loan combination. And then, so as we go through the design and get more funding for this at the appropriate times, we'll be coming back for permission to amend the contract to execute another phase of this design. And that will probably be at least once, if not two more times to do that. So this phase, it's just time to approve this phase so they can continue.
Councilmember Cott?
I agree with Councilmember DeYoung. I think we should go ahead and move forward on this tonight. So I'd like to make a motion to that effect.
Second.
Okay. Let's.
The question.
Yes, go ahead, Councilmember Allen, really quick. I'm going to pull this
So
up.
I'm fully in support of this, but just so I can, in the public, we can wrap our heads around the massive scope of what doing a wastewater plant is. Like, what's our estimated cost of design, and then what's our estimated cost of executing the project itself?
So our estimated cost of design right now is 2.2 to 2.5 million. It will get refined as we get closer, and part of that just kind of depends on how we step into contract management at the end. So one of the things I want to do is we'll bring on a separate contract manager, and then we'll award a contract to RH2 for construction engineering support. So they'll have two different entities putting their heads together to make sure it gets built correctly. And part of what I want to do for this is I want to bring on that construction manager a little bit early at about 80% design, which will be a little bit more expense. But what they will do is a constructability review and do that in time to add any of those inputs into the final design before it goes to bid. I think that's important. And then the estimated cost of the treatment plant, and this is the goal of getting a certain amount of loan versus a certain amount of grant. And the estimated cost right now is $60 million. Okay, big number. I've already lined out I guess I'll call it a preliminary funding model where at this point in time I have a high certainty that we can get about $15 to $20 million in grant money. And the closer I can get to $25 million, the more free money, call it that you get, the less of an impact it's going to be on ratepayers. And so at this point, we've done a preliminary financial analysis. We'll have a more detailed final one at the end of the facility plan, which is really about 3 weeks away. And then that will kind of step out our strategies for making this a successful, affordable plant for the community. And right now, I'm rather confident that that's possible.
Thanks, Bill.
I know there's a motion on. I just got one question, Madam Mayor.
All right.
All right. And it's, we can move forward. It doesn't really matter. I was just wondering if other communities, maybe upriver or east or somewhere around here, also weighed in to that treatment center.
Mm-hmm.
I know it cost a lot to bring sewage lines over, but could that help reduce that cost or supplement it all, or does it equal out because you're bringing the lines in?
Yeah. So right now, we're also coordinating with Department of Ecology to talk about, and I think what you're talking about is being able to form a interlocal agreement potentially with the city of Hamilton to extend sewer, do that.
Or
That
Lyman.
type of thing, or even Lyman.
Because
or
Lyman's the
whatever.
one that had, I went to one of their town councils and they were talking about they can't subdivide before too much because they're all on septic.
Yeah.
And they don't have the ability to get.
So what Lyman has and what Hamilton, we have some direction from Department of Ecology to properly advise those folks on how you would step through doing an engineering report and that type of thing to see if delivering to the city is possible or economical or whatever. So we're still working that route as well. Part of this is this treatment plant will double our treatment capacity from 2 million gallons a day to 4 million gallons a day. 4 million gallons a day is enough to provide sewage treatment to approximately 36,000 people. So something that we're not going to get to, or likely, but that part of that alone would allow us to help other communities if Department of Ecology required us to or whatever, because they have what's called a loss system, or loss systems. And I can't remember what that acronym stands for, but basically it's a septic system where you have a very big drain field and they can process up to 100,000 gallons a day, which is quite a bit for a type of septic system. And so after this new treatment plant upgrade, we could handle all that capacity and not endanger our capacity for our city. When we have large storm events, we go very close to what our 2 million gallons a day capacity is. It also will handle any growth in the future we need. But the other thing is not necessarily trying to get to 35,000 people in the city. That's not the goal. Part of that goal is you want to keep the duty cycle on your treatment plant within about 50% as a normal duty cycle, because if you're running after you hit 85% of your capacity, Department of Ecology requires you to do another treatment plant upgrade. So you want to keep between 40 and 50% duty cycle is what I call it, instead of 70%, because that's how you start wearing out your treatment plant. And that's one of the reasons why ours is starting to get worn out. So having that 4.4 million gallons a day is partly designed to allow the treatment plant to last longer, as well as to handle additional population capacity in the future.
All right. We've got a motion, but go ahead.
Sorry, just one quick comment. I heard Bill use the phrases, other people's money. Thank you, Bill, so much for your work on all of this. Other people's money and also free money. And I just wanted to point out that this isn't really free money. We're all paying state and federal taxes. And what we're doing here is trying to just recapture our fair share for Sedro-Woolley so that we can all flush our toilets. So just wanted to make that comment there.
All right, there's a motion on the table to approve authorization for Public Works to execute contract amendment number 3 with RH2 Engineering Incorporation for professional services required. Move into the first design phase of the wastewater treatment plant upgrade project for an amount not to exceed $559,938, increasing the total contract amount not to exceed $1,241,638. The motion was made by Mr. DeYoung, seconded by Councilmember Koch. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right. And now, on to the fun part tonight. Our candidate review, interview, and appointment for the Ward 2 position. And so, Kelly, you want to take that away?
Yes, I'll just give a summary, and then the rest is kind of up to the mayor and council. Quick summary that Councilmember Kesty was appointed as the mayor in April of 2026, vacating the Ward 2 council seat. On April 22nd, City Council reviewed and approved the procedures for filling the vacancy. And so for this meeting, council will review and discuss eligible applicants, select applicants for interview, interview candidates, and then select a candidate for appointment into Ward 2, and that individual will do their oath of office and take their seat at the dais just before adjourning the meeting. So for selection of candidates to interview, The interview selection will be, this is based on the council governance handbook, will be by nomination and second, and then a vote will be taken. Any candidate that receives 3 or more votes will be interviewed. All the interviews that take place will be done in alphabetical order. Based on the last council meeting, the questions have been prepared ahead of time, and council members have been assigned specific questions. Those should be available for you on a piece of paper at your dais.
Kelly, a quick question. When we're taking turns answering the question, when can we ask a follow-up question after the question we asked? Because it'll move on and we won't get another chance.
That's up to the council, how you'd like to handle that.
Is that all right that there's a follow-up question to the question that you asked right afterwards? Are you all comfortable with that?
Yes.
I'm seeing head nods. But you only get a total of 3.
3 questions. So we have these 2 questions that we're supposed to ask, and then we have 1 follow-up question.
Yes.
So use it wisely.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
And then after all interviews have taken place, council may nominate a candidate to fill the position. A second is required. Once all nominations and seconds have been made, then council will vote. Any questions about the process before we get started?
All right, we're all good, unless Councilmember Koch, did you have a question?
I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, but I'd like to propose, if they're all here, that we interview all 3 since there's only 3.
I would second that, or if that's
Yeah.
the proposal, yeah.
So all those in favor for interviewing all 3, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All 3 are being interviewed, and I believe that we're starting with James Cox first. James, would you like to come up? And then we have you just make sure the blue light is on.
Blue
And-
light's on.
Perfect. And then we will start with Councilmember Peterson.
Hi, James. Thanks for submitting an application. Why are you interested in the appointment to city council, and what motivated you to apply for the Ward 2 vacancy?
Well, I've been living here about 15 years. We have a good investment in the town, so we have a business downtown. I've had rentals. I believe in making things better, so I'm not afraid of challenges. That's very important to me. I'm also not I don't believe in the status quo, that you just say yes to say yes. I believe you take your time, you look at all the research, get your facts, and I don't always think that happens. So sometimes people vote with their heart, and I think that's great, but I think we have to have facts. Also, I love Sedro-Woolley. I love what's been going on. I'm a Mount Vernon guy, so I grew up in Mount Vernon, but Sedro-Woolley is where I plan to hang my hat until the end. I want to raise my kids here. What I've seen is great, but also what I've seen could be better. That's really what I think. So I see a lot of small towns that have infrastructure like ours, and they're doing more. And honestly, Nick, what you said was great, like with some of the art stuff that you want. I think we can bring more people here, and I think we could do it well and do it better. So passionate about the town, and I just want to see it continue, and I want to see that legacy that people have put in, for 100+ years. I want to see it continue.
All right. Councilmember DeYoung.
Welcome.
Thank you.
What experiences, talents, or skills do you bring to the council and community that you would like to highlight?
Well, I have a pretty varied background. So I grew up poor, so I know what it's like to dig yourself out. I've experienced success as well. I have managed a lot of people. I've also been managed. I think that's important. Some people just kind of work their way up and they don't really get managed. I think you need to see what it's like to be managed. For me, I like remodeling things. I like making things better. I don't believe there's anything that's not possible. That's really kind of how I am. I like a challenge. I also believe those people that don't think they can do more can do more. And my wife, who's sitting in the back, she's heard me yell 110%. Okay, so it's just I believe. I don't want to stray from the question, but I really think my background is unique. I think I've seen a lot of different people. I just have a love for doing well, and I don't know if that answers the question, but I just want to do well. That's all I can do.
Councilmember Lavaca.
Thank you, and thank you for applying. Quite awesome to see that from the community. So are there any regional issues or forums in which you have a particular interest or expertise? E.g., or example, transportation, housing, human services, public utilities, fiscal management, parks and open space?
Yeah, so I would say financial background is real strong for me, financial management. I believe in paying for things immediately, as quickly as you can. You pay them off. If you can get the free money that we're owed, we get that back too. I love housing. So growing up, we grew up in HUD housing. So I'm actually on the Sedro-Woolley Housing Commission. I think it's fun to, or I don't know if fun's the right word, but for me, I think it's fun to be part of that, and to find ways to, again, make life easier for others, and let them know that you can be part of this too. So this whole meeting was about people giving back. A lot of it was. So my expertise, to answer the question, I have a lot of financial background. Love art, love art like design, like making the city better. So I love to look at those things. People, I'm great with people. I enjoy a good debate, and I think it should be done eloquently, with respect. So love debating, so I know that not everyone will always have that same view or point of view, which is why you debate, so you can see your point of view. But I really think that, again, a varied background, I think it would work. I'm good with people. Yeah.
Okay. Councilmember Henderson.
Hi, James. How are you?
I'm good.
Microphone. All right. My question to you is, have you ever attended a city council meeting?
Yes, so in person, this is my second or third one. I've watched them online. I was also part of I don't know what we called it, the beautification project, where we were giving grants and we were awarded a new awning, which really helped. And so what I've been doing recently is trying to go back. I watched some last night. I think it's really nice that they are recorded, so you can go and take a look. I watched March 27th was the one that I just watched before coming in. So it's just kind of fun to see you guys in action, to hear your differences. And then I wish the house was packed like this all the time. It should be. I think that's what's important. If you want to be heard, you have to come. You have to raise your voice. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember Loy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
What do you understand the role of a city council member to be in Sedro-Woolley's mayor-council form of government, and how would you work effectively with staff without overstepping into administration?
Yeah. I'm very much a policies and procedures person, so it's nice because there is a plethora of information as to how we would conduct ourselves. From my understanding, from being in the meetings and being on boards, previous, things that I've done, we work together. I'm a voice for my potential ward. You're listening to the facts. If people, normally you'd be voted in, and I suppose this is similar, but people are voting in your expertise, your mind, essentially. So again, just continue looking at the facts. I would love to learn more from you guys, which is nice, and I know that everyone over here is available for meetings. I've heard such earlier when I was submitting my application. So to answer the simple question is, I'm here to listen. I'm here to investigate, research. Sounds like there's a lot of readers here, a lot to read, and I love that kind of stuff. So I look forward to reading not only past, but what other current events as to what other cities are doing. So I have my own desires, but not necessarily are those the desires of the people around me. So I need to listen to everyone. And hopefully they'll sway me for what they're wanting, but I will still take a sound judgment, and I will look at all the facts as it would pertain, not just today, but I'm a forward thinker. So sometimes what's good today is not good for tomorrow, so we have to actually look further out than, our immediate emotions, in my opinion.
Councilmember Cock.
First of all, thank you for applying. City resources and staff capacity are limited. Name one city priority you believe deserves more attention and one worthy priority you would be willing to delay if funding or staff capacity required it.
That's a fun one. So something that I would love to see is, as I come into this town or others come into this town, I see a metal fence. So, I mean, I've been looked at, man, what do I have to do to donate those trees to get that line, to make it beautiful? That doesn't necessarily improve the lives of others, but it says, hey, we're Sedro-Woolley, we care. We don't want to look like an industrial complex, and I apologize if anyone owns that land. But I think we could do better. I think the roundabouts could be beautiful. And that I believe as a business owner, and again, I was raised in business, so I've done that for almost 25 years, and I was in charge of trying to bring those customers in. There's not a lot for me. We've got this gorgeous town, beautiful brick buildings, but they just drive on by. So there's nothing saying come into this town, and I want to lead the way for that. So that's a simple thing. I think what we're doing is so great on the parks and stuff. Originally, I was going to say I want better parks, but my kids are 10 and 11 sitting back there, or 11 and 12, sorry guys. And we've been going to the parks a lot. I think they're taken care of. The facilities are great, so I'm enjoying that. So for me, I want beautification. I want to see some things that will just show that, hey, we're really proud of this city. It's a great city already, but I think we can make it more pretty. And then something that I would push aside.
If you delay if necessary.
Yeah, if I had to delay. Because I won't say I currently know all the projects and the funds. I think if I'm saying what I really mean, I don't know the financial impact of delaying certain projects, and I would rather see what projects are we doing. I did, I have your little Department of Operation plans. It seems like you guys are hitting those like a hammer and just getting them out of the way. So there's a little. I think if it's, and I love finance, so if it's impacting, so I guess if it's impacting us financially, if there's something that we would have to pause, which would actually reduce our income or revenue flow into the city, I wouldn't do that. But the little things, maybe a beautification project like the trees, maybe that doesn't bring the money right now, so you would pause. I mean, this reminds me of COVID when we just had to cut everything we could. And I have no problems drawing a line through things once I know what their value and worth is.
And a quick follow-up question. I saw you mentioned you're on the Sedro-Woolley Housing Commission.
Yes, just since the beginning of the year.
What can we do? I know it's a huge question, and a lot of people have not come up with solutions. I sat in a full day of seminars talking about it, but how can we locally try to increase the amount of affordable housing?
That is a very good question. Affordable housing, I think, is important, but sometimes you have to look at what's creating the issue with affordable housing. So tax base, right? And we need to get revenue. So I know taxes have gone up a lot for real, your own properties and such, property tax. So the waiting list was pretty high, and not to sneak to you, but Nora, you were at the meeting, and I think there's a waiting list like 400, 500 people, and we have about 80 units. So outside of looking for places, I don't believe you take and create a property and put it over here like what would be considered the projects, if you're going on a large scale in a big city. It has to be integrated. So whether you're sprinkling those within a city, and that makes the neighborhood better in the sense that it's not just over here's the neighborhood of apartments. And I understand zoning too, and R15 and such, so you have apartments in certain areas. But one of the things that we've done well, or I think has improved, is the mother-in-law, like having that secondary garage which is converted into a house, as long as it's done well. Because I think sometimes as a landlord, I know people are trying to turn a penny and make some money, and doesn't mean it's done well. That's based on the person. So I know any project I've done or any rental I've done, it's always been affordable. It's been under market value. but it's not something I wouldn't live in. So if I remodel something, I would live in that, and I do it those standards. And I think if that rolls into zoning and other stuff, but if we hold those same standards, but allow someone to convert something or add a small ADU or something like that, that does help reduce the housing need, or it'll impact it in a positive way if it's done well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, James, for that. And moving forward, the follow-up question is a follow-up to the question that you asked, not a brand-new question. So just so that we're all clear on that. Okay, and I'm going to pass on my question for the sake of time, and we will go to Councilmember Peterson.
I think I misunderstood the follow-up thing. I thought that I could still ask a follow-up question. Is that not the case?
It's a follow-up question to the question that you asked.
So our assigned question?
Yes.
Okay, so I missed my chance to ask my follow-up question to the first one. Okay. How would you handle a situation where you disagree with the mayor, city administrator, staff recommendation, or council majority?
Yeah, I think it's through respect. So I understand that role that I play. So if I am, and I have disagreements, that's normal. So I believe that you have to do it respectfully. And once the decision has been made, you're to support it. I believe wholeheartedly in that. So if you don't agree with maybe what's going on, I heard it earlier with you, Nick, is, okay, let's take a pause on this. Maybe we don't all want this, but let's revisit it, and you work, and you come back stronger than ever with a system or a system that would make it feasible. So yeah, maybe I don't enjoy the decision right now, but I'm going to support it. I'm not going to try to undermine it because I don't think that's beneficial to anyone. That's the whole purpose of a multiple person council, is you don't want one person running the show. And again, you want to continue to improve. So what was good today or yesterday isn't always good for tomorrow. Okay. If that answers it.
Councilmember DeYoung.
So how should council balance housing growth, economic opportunity, infrastructure capacity, public safety, traffic, and neighborhood character?
Yeah, big ones. I'm passionate about all of them, to be honest with you. Neighborhood character. I've remodeled the house on Central Street by Nelson, and I wanted to maintain that look and keep it beautiful. 1901 home, and it was owned by Eliza Monroe. I think I talked to the museum. I had found some really cool artifacts in there. So I believe in trying to keep neighborhoods as they were. You can also incorporate new buildings, but I believe it should still fit within that character of a neighborhood. So that's question number one, or part of it. Balancing finances, was that other? I've always, again, if you can't pay for it, you can't do it. That's truly how I believe. But you can cut, and you nip and tuck. You cut where you need to so that you can get those important things done. And I've been on a lot of committees, and in those committees, we've always been able to pay for things and fix things. But there is a logical progression of how you would go about doing that. So again, everyone wants bells and whistles. Doesn't mean you can always afford that, but you do what's needed. So again, if you need a new roof, you get a roof. You may not have a 40-year roof if you get that roof, right? Now, I would want the 40 because it saves you money in the long run. That's how I think. Other part of the question was?
Yes, I'll repeat the entire question.
Okay, so I can get clips of it, yeah.
So how should council balance housing growth, economic opportunity, infrastructure capacity, public safety, traffic, and neighborhood character?
Okay. So the other pieces. So you need to say yes to some things. Some businesses you need to say yes to. You have to decide whether that business will help you achieve the goals. So do we want to look like a nice, quiet community? Do we want to look like, again, Mount Vernon? Not happy with what they did that in the 70s, 80s. It's not a beautiful town. Downtown is, but the rest of it's chaotic if you're to look at it. That's my opinion. But I believe that you have to look at everything and you have to weigh the good and the bad with it. So I also believe being small town, having small business in a beautiful brick downtown. Who has that? It's gorgeous. but we don't really have any businesses. It's been done well in other cities. You've got Arlington looks pretty good, Snohomish looks pretty good. Not saying we go as far as Leavenworth, but I love that idea. They kept a town that was dying. So we can still make our town beautiful and not make it look like a neon getaway. Okay, so I think that's important for us, which, again, grants help those small businesses to make themselves better where they can't afford it. So I think that's important. Housing is really important to me. Again, I've kind of mentioned I love the zoning, but I also grew up with apartments. I think when you throw apartments over into one area, that doesn't always benefit things. Again, love the beautiful apartments that we just built. You know, there's the Sedro-48, the one over by McDonald's. But are those people coming into town? Fulfills your housing need, but I think they're just going there and then driving out. So that's not what I would want. Doesn't mean I would be the one changing that, but I think we look a little bit smarter, you know, a different, no critique towards anyone, but I think we look at it differently and say, hi, how do we bring these people into our town? Because if you're just giving them housing, that's not what we need. We need to bring them into our town, incorporate those values, and let them come and shop downtown. The Kinsley is a great example, or the Kinsey.
Councilmember Lavaca.
Thank you. So tell us about a time you had to make or support a difficult decision where reasonable people disagreed. What facts did you rely on, and how did you communicate the decision, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, so I think this is kind of similar to what we were talking about earlier. I'll take it in a church setting, but there was a pastor. We all vote on pastor. I was part of the board, and I may not see what they see. So maybe at this time I didn't agree with it. I'm never going to be, I'm not passive, but I'm not going to jump up and yell at you and get mad. I'm not a heated debate person. I always will be quiet when I talk about it. So with this example, I felt a different candidate was better. But I was willing to support the rest of my board, council, it's the same idea, and move forward and move forward strongly. Just because, again, one voice should not silence everyone. It really shouldn't. You guys need to work together for this particular, council or board. So for me, I still get along with everyone. You could yell to my face, and tomorrow I'll ask you out to lunch. It doesn't matter to me because I understand they're just emotions. So those things don't bother me. I really believe in listening, and I just really love a good debate. That's one of my favorite things. If that answers it, Nick, I don't know.
And if I may ask a follow-up on that. So you've been following for the last few weeks, I'm sure, and then you've watched previous council meetings. The topic that we had tonight that we voted on was a little bit difficult because they were sensitive topics, and we all want to see the best. And so there was wise comments on both sides and good energy on both sides. How would you vote in that situation?
What would I have done? What's interesting is I came to the previous meeting, and then I've heard the buzz on it as well. I think if there's so many people that come in and are that passionate for something, then maybe we need to figure that out. But that being said, what I heard from you guys, and again, limited understanding, but what I heard from you guys was you can bring that back at any time you want. It sounds like we're trying to clean up the docket for how we're doing things. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You clean it up. If everyone's so passionate about it, it can come back. It's not buried. And it is very easy. So, I don't know how you guys would do it, but if, like you were saying, 6 months. Hey, 6 months from now, why don't you guys, whether you're going to have your own commission, and you can do it. I heard it even doing a nonprofit. I'd never even thought of that, so that's a great idea too. But I think it's something that could come back. So with the limited knowledge, I also was looking at nobody's done anything on this, and I was asked to be part of it 2 years ago. And I said, well, yeah, that was neat, and then never really heard anything again. So I understand that. I understand things get lost in the shuffle, and I have a friend that's on the commission, and have talked with them. But I think art is good. I think it could really benefit the city as long as it's done right. I don't know if it can be decisive as well, so there's that part of it, and not sure knowing the policies and procedures for it. I think it can be a good thing. I don't know if that answers your question. I see no reason with At the moment, you're terminating it, but you can bring it back. And it sounds like there's enough energy in the room or in those meetings that if people get organized and do it well, they can bring it back. And I hadn't heard anything, like they were talking about the fish on the roundabout and the metal art sculptures. I had never even heard that, didn't see it. I tried to dig around to find meeting minutes too, and I didn't see anything. So I don't know where those are, but I know that we have a switchover in our, like even finding the meetings for this. There's like you got to click up here to find the new meetings. The other ones are down below. So does that kind of answer it, Nick? Yeah. I think there was so much passion in it. I might table it and say, hey, in 6 months, but there's no difference than terming it because that was part of the business and then bringing it back in 6 months. It's the same procedure. It just sounds different. I think people think you're just getting rid of them. I don't think that's what happened here tonight.
Okay, Council Member Henderson.
James, what steps would you take to ensure transparency and accountability in council decisions?
I feel like it sounds like all the meetings are available to everyone. So me personally, I don't do any secret emails or anything like that. But being an open book, being available for people. So if there's someone that was within the ward that I operate in, accepting a phone call, accepting a meeting, there's nothing, I can't see any reason to hide anything. I'm not really a person that does that. So yeah, trying to think of a way you would, but we have systems in place. I don't know if we're auditing texts and stuff. Maybe that seems kind of odd. If you guys want to provide phones, I think that would be okay. But yeah, I think what we're doing is fine. I think all these meetings are open for people. You can go back and look at records for years. So if someone really wanted to know something, I think they could go in there. And again, you guys are all an open book, and I've seen it posted online. Email me if you need anything.
Thank you.
Okay, Council Member Loy.
This appointment runs only until November 2027 election certificate. Are you looking to only fill the remainder of this term, or you continue to serve in 2 future elected positions?
Yeah. My goal is to do what's needed. So I'm not looking, I didn't look for this so that I can have my name on something and have stature. That's not who I am. But I did want to have a voice for the people. So I believe in the next 8 to 18 months, I'll be able to get a real good feel of what it's like to be part of a council for a town that I like. I really love this town. So to answer the question, I would plan on running again outside of people hating me, okay? If I'm not needed, doesn't matter how passionate I am, I believe the voices are going to tell you whether you should be here or not, and I think we should listen to those voices. That's my opinion.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. Are you at 3? Have you asked 3 things? 1, 2, and then a follow-up?
Yeah, no.
Okay, okay. Then, Councilmember Kopp, go right ahead.
What are 1 or 2 realistic contributions you would hope to make during the appointed term?
Getting more people to come downtown and stay. So I really, really think we have an opportunity we are missing missing upon. I think that's revenue. It ironically answers the need for finances and $60 million water plants. As you get people to come in, spend their money, stick around, and enjoy this community we already have, right? So I think it's important to beautify our city. That's really important to me. I don't know if 18 months, that's not realistic. I can't imagine you can get a lot done, but I'm pretty sure you could get a good start based on some eagerness I've heard on this council. I would like to, we talked about the housing. I think housing's important. That too there's not a lot that happens in 18 months, but I think I would like to get to know the heartbeat of this town, and by doing that, so that's through talking to people, listening to people, see what their needs are. I live off Reed Street. I remember when they purchased that property for the park. I have talked to some neighbors. They're like, there's going to be a park. I'd love to see that. I think I saw it on one of the future plans for you guys getting going on. I also know about the connecting of the roads because that impacts me daily. So there's little things like that. And a silly one that I kind of joke about is the reason I did love Mount Vernon is they had sidewalks. So I would love to see our sidewalks fixed, but I also heard that you guys are working on that with the grinding and stuff. So this council is part of that, and I thank you for doing it. And I'm not trying to get any bonus points here, okay? But I think there's a lot that can be done, and I'd love to hear, what you guys are doing. I kind of am sad that I haven't been to as many meetings because just a few. I've even got my son who's in ASB that seems to be liking it. So there you have it. Might be an early guy. Does that answer?
It did.
Yeah,
Thank you
okay.
very much.
So is there anything else that you may wish to add?
No, just for me, just thank you for your time. I know what you do isn't always easy, and it's not glamorous. I understand that. It's a nice placard that you have, but I understand that people don't always get along, and it's nice to listen to them, and I think you have done it very cordially. And I also believe a little bit of discussion is a good thing. So you don't always, for me, it's nice to see when you really are passionate about something, because that's what shows me you care, or you should be here. That's it.
All right, so if anyone has their extra question and you would like to follow up, you may do so now. We'll start with Councilmember Peterson.
Let me pull it up again. What would your perspective as a business owner, because you own a business right downtown, what would your perspective as a business owner bring to the city council?
That's a good one. My perspective is after 2 o'clock, it's a ghost town. And we do events. I've seen the chamber do events, and I'm not here to knock on anyone, but if you're going to have blasts from the past and not have food trucks or other vendors in here, which I personally go to those places like Linden, the Berry Fest, they got all these food trucks. I'm already going to go to Joy's. I'm going to go to Coconut Kenny's. I'm going to go to Double Bear. I'm already going to go to those restaurants, but I want to bring in something fun that gets me downtown on my day off, right? If I'm not at my business. And what I see, again, love all the businesses, favorite places are closing at 2 o'clock. And here it is, as a business owner, I'm like, you can go eat at this, the corner bar or something. And they may have good burgers, but I'm not in the business of sending a family with kids over there. And that's fine, but that's me personally. So I think we could do better. And I think it starts with talking to my fellow business owners and saying, hey, can we stay open a little later tonight? It's only for 2 days. That I think it's important because, again, these people may be coming from far away, especially Logger Rodeo is really the big one, but they're coming from far away, and I'd like places to be open. We open for 4th of July not because we want to be open on a holiday, but because there's business and nobody's open. So that's why we do it, and then we do it fun. We have a great time. So I think others could do the same thing. And again, if you want a better town, you sometimes have to commit and put a little extra in. We're not like making tons of money in that little business, but when we have a line, if you've seen us, it's 3 hours of a line when we do an event, and it's solid. So I know it can be done, and I think others they might be willing to help.
Councilmember DeYoung, did you have an extra one?
Mayor, we are at 30 minutes.
Oh, all right. I'm sorry if you did. We are at 30 minutes. Thank you very much. So thank you very much. Next, and forgive me, is Katya Matsko. Welcome.
Mayor, if I could.
Councilmember Henderson.
Would it be possible to have the time up on the screen so we know?
That would be awesome. Woody, could you do that for us? A 30-minute countdown? Thank you. Thank you. All right, welcome. We will start with Councilmember Peterson.
Why are you interested in the appointment to city council, and what motivated you to apply for the Ward 2 position?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to interview tonight. To me, Sedro-Woolley is really more than just a place I live. It's the town that shaped who I am today, shaped my values, and gave me and my family opportunities we didn't have before moving to the United States. I moved to the United States from Russia in 2010 and have been here for 16 years, and I have been incredibly grateful to live in this country and this community. I have truly learned that United States represents freedom and opportunity, and the fact that through hard work you can build a better future for yourself. And I decided to apply because I genuinely care about the future of Sedro-Woolley, and I want to give back to the community that helped shape who I am today through my local work in the school district and community action. I've really learned how much local leadership impacts people's everyday lives. And I've seen that Ward 2 includes a mix of longtime residents, younger residents, senior residents, working families, and I think it's very important for those perspectives to be thoughtfully represented. And I also think that younger residents should be given the opportunity to participate in civic engagement and community leadership. I'm willing to work hard, listen, and ask thoughtful questions.
All right, Councilmember DeYoung.
What experiences, talents, or skills do you bring to the council and community that you would like to highlight?
I think one of my biggest strengths is my ability to connect with people from different backgrounds. My experiences have given me exposure to education, the nonprofit world, community outreach, fundraising, financial responsibility, and I think those are all really valuable perspectives that I can bring to local government. Professionally, I've worked in education and fundraising and nonprofits, and currently I work as a paraeducator with the Sedro-Woolley School District, supporting students with diverse needs. And I've also been involved with civic engagement and public service over the years. I was a Washington State Senate page. I interned on a campaign for a congressman's reelection, and I was also selected by student delegates to represent over 5,000 members of Washington Future Business Leaders of America, and more recently I was part of the reelection campaign for Skagit County Assessor. And those experiences have really helped me better understand how government works and what community engagement looks like at different levels. And I think my background as an immigrant gives me a perspective and really an appreciation for opportunity and different community support systems. And my educational background in finance gives me a really good appreciation for responsible budgeting.
All right, Councilmember Lavaca.
Thank you, and thank you very much, Kadia, for coming in. So my question is, are there any regional issues or forums in which you have a particular interest or expertise, such as transportation, housing, human services, public utilities, fiscal interest, or fiscal management, parks, or open spaces?
Yes, absolutely. The first area I'm very interested in is human services. Through my volunteer work and involvement with community action of Skagit County, I've become very interested in issues that are affecting our vulnerable community of seniors. I think one of the biggest challenges that communities face is making sure that people can continue living independently and safely and with dignity, especially as costs rise and the cost of living becomes very hard to manage. And I'm also interested in housing and growth management because I recognize that Sedro-Woolley is growing quickly, and long-term challenges for Sedro-Woolley will definitely be balancing that housing affordability with infrastructure capacity and economic opportunity. And I would say, again, that my background in finance has given me a very good appreciation for fiscal management. I think it's a responsibility of local government to make sure there's no unnecessary spending where possible and pursue grants and partnerships wherever possible as well.
Councilmember Henderson.
Katia, thank you for coming in tonight. It's not easy getting up in front of people and answering questions. I don't like it myself, but here's my question for you. Have you ever attended a city council meeting?
I have, yes. I've been to about 5 or 6 in-person council meetings, and I've also watched recordings online.
May I use my follow-up?
Sure.
Specifically Sedro-Woolley council meetings.
Yes, specifically
Okay.
Sedro-Woolley.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Loy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
What do you understand the role of a city council member to be in Sedro-Woolley's mayor-council form of government? And how would you work effectively with staff without overstepping into administration?
I understand the role of a city council member to be primarily legislative and policy focused. The council sets priorities, adopts budgets, passes ordinances, and advocates for its residents. And the city administrator, mayor, city staff work to make sure that administration and the day-to-day operations of the city run very smoothly. I think it's very important for council members to ask thoughtful questions and stay informed, advocate for constituents, and also respecting the professional expertise that staff and other council members have. So if I was appointed into the role, I would always respect boundaries and make sure not to overstep or micromanage.
Councilmember Cock.
Thank you for applying. And a quick observation, valedictorian at Sedro-Woolley High School and the McIntyre Scholarship. That's impressive. And
Thank you.
thanks to the McIntyre family for their very generous scholarship through the years. It's helped a lot of young people. City resources and staff capacity are limited. Name one city priority you believe deserves more attention and one worthy priority you would be willing to delay if funding or staff capacity required it.
One area that I think deserves more attention is definitely support for our vulnerable population, especially seniors. I followed the discussions on Meals on Wheels and senior nutrition programs pretty closely, and I think situations like that really show how important long-term planning is and community support systems are, especially in a small town. And as Sedro-Woolley continues to grow, I think it's very important that we take care of our seniors, our vulnerable populations. And I understand that the city may not directly operate every program, but I think city leadership can still play an important role and connect different nonprofits and volunteers and local businesses and different funding opportunities to help strengthen the community support systems we do have. And I do understand that the city has limited resources, limited staff, and if difficult trade-offs had to be made, I would say that a project that is non-urgent, like a beautification project or non-essential facility upgrade that could reasonably wait a few years would not be a priority. I would say priority is always making sure that there's public safety, there's infrastructure, and that core city operations are definitely taken care of. And that's not to say that quality of life projects don't matter. They absolutely do, but when it comes to the city, essential needs definitely need to come first when resources are limited.
And I'm going to pass so that Councilmember Peterson.
I will also pass because I had my 3 questions last time.
Do you mind if I take your question?
You may, Councilmember Dion. Go ahead.
Well, horse trading. Sometimes council members must make decisions based only on the official record and applicable legal standards, not public pressure or personal preference. How would you handle the responsibility if neighbors urged you to take a position before a hearing?
I think one of the most important parts of public service is being able to separate personal pressure from the responsibility to follow the law and any applicable standards. If there was a hearing or a quasi-judicial matter, I would definitely avoid making any commitments or taking any public positions before gathering all the facts and reviewing the applicable standards and all the information. I would very respectfully explain to my neighbors that I want everyone to have a fair process, and my responsibility as a council member is to stay open-minded until all information is presented to me. I think constituents deserve honesty, and part of maintaining trust with constituents is being transparent about the fact that council members cannot responsibly pre-decide issues based on personal pressure.
All right, Councilmember Lavaca.
Thank you very much. Tell us about a time that you had to make or support a difficult decision where reasonable people disagreed, and what facts did you rely on? How did you communicate the decision, and what did you learn from that this process?
One example that comes to mind was during my time in college where I worked at the University of Washington Engagement Center as a supervisor. We had a situation where a student was repeatedly struggling with professionalism and attendance expectations. We had mixed views on that because some members of the team felt that those exceptions should be made to the student because the student was very personable and successful at their job of fundraising. But a lot of others, including leadership, felt that it was pretty unfair to the rest of the team who were consistently meeting expectations and had to pick up any extra workloads. And as part of the leadership team, I had to support moving that student into a formal accountability process that we had, and it was uncomfortable. Not everyone agreed with that decision, but in approaching it, I relied a lot on documented expectations that we had for the role, attendance record, our prior coaching conversations that we had, and also the consistency expectations we had within our workplace. And I talked with other management too and considered feedback from multiple perspectives before making any kind of decision and moving forward. And when communicating that decision to the student, I tried to do so respectfully and privately. I think it's always very important to explain to somebody that it's not about punishing someone personally, but it's about maintaining fairness and reliability standards for everyone who's on the team. And I made sure that the student understood expectations going forward, and the student became very successful in their role. And what I definitely learned from that experience is that part of leadership is making difficult decisions, and sometimes people won't agree with that, and that's okay. As long as people feel like they were listened to and respected, then the outcome will always be good.
If I may ask a follow-up question on that one. So on that process, was that something that you had learned throughout your time at the UW as part of maybe conflict mitigation or conflict resolution courses, or is it something that you learned through time? Could you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, it was a combination of both things. I worked since I was 16, so I've had experiences in workplace being somebody who was a manager and was managed, but we also did get some training in conflict resolution and how to work with teams effectively. That's a training that all managers get at the Engagement Center.
Councilmember Henderson?
What steps will you take to ensure transparency and accountability in council decisions?
I think transparency and accountability are extremely important because public trust is extremely important in local government. And one thing I would definitely focus on is being accessible and communicating with residents clearly about different city issues and decisions, explaining to residents not just what the issues are, but why they were made. I think it's very important for people to understand that, and I would make sure to follow open government rules very carefully, maintain professionalism in any communications, respect anything that's confidential, and approach all decisions thoughtfully, ethically. I think the most important thing council member can do is listen to their constituents and ask questions, stay prepared, read a lot, and always make decisions based on facts and public interest rather than any personal pressure. And I also think transparency is about being willing to admit when you don't know something and taking the time to learn that.
Councilmember Loy?
Okay, so I get to ask my one, right?
Number 12. Number 12.
Oh, number 12, I thought I already did that one. There I am. This appointment runs only until the November 2027 election certification. Are you looking to only fill the remainder of this term, or you continue serving in the future as elected position?
I'm looking for both. I'm looking to serve in the appointed terms as well as run for reelection. I care about the future of Sedro-Woolley and what happens to those that came before me, those that came with me, and those that came after me.
Do I get my next one here?
If you would like to ask a follow-up to that.
Okay. Business is very important, especially in a small town. And people talk about a business atmosphere where you need to develop an atmosphere in the town for things to grow. Do you have any ideas of what you might be able to come up with?
Yes. So when it comes to the business atmosphere, especially in a small town like Sedro-Woolley, the number one thing we have to make sure is that our local small town charm is there. We have to make sure that there's foot traffic in local businesses, and at the last council meeting that I watched, I really like that we're doing some advertising for the FIFA World Cup, so that will drive some traffic into local downtown businesses. And also, it's important for city council to support local businesses, give them help whenever they need it, whether that's through tax credits or changes in zoning laws. I think it's definitely a joint effort between the city and business owners to help bring customers into local downtown businesses.
Councilmember Koch?
What are, excuse me, what are one or two realistic contributions you would hope to make during your appointed term?
Over the 16 years that I've lived here, I've learned that increasing community engagement is very important, so that would definitely be my number one realistic contribution. I think it's very important for younger residents to get involved, students and working families who may not always feel connected to local government, and a lot of people often say they are not fully aware of how city decisions affect them. And as growth happens, I also think the city should focus on infrastructure and making sure that infrastructure keep pace rather than reacting after problems occur. So make sure those problems don't happen as best as possible. And at the same time, I don't think preserving neighborhood character should mean shutting out younger families or working people out of the community because housing becomes too unaffordable. I think with thoughtful planning, we can support both community engagement and growth and preservation and maintain the small town charm of Sedro-Woolley with long-term planning rather than short-term. Those are my two priorities.
Just to follow up.
Sure.
Yes, I'm curious, how would you get younger people involved? I go to a lot of meetings and everybody's either got gray or white hair. I mean, how do you combat that?
I had a couple of ideas to that. My first idea is similar to what the school board is currently doing, and that is having a youth advisory council with the city council where a couple high school students or maybe more come in and just listen, and maybe they pitch something and the city can use their ideas in the future. I also think utilizing social media more is very important. A lot of younger people are on their phones, and a lot of younger people don't want to read 400-page agenda packets. They would prefer to watch a short video on social media or see a post about, for example, why is this road being fixed or why is this building being built? And I also think it would be really nice to get classrooms from Sedro-Woolley High School involved in a way that where maybe the business classes can pitch ideas that they have for the city to the council, and the council doesn't necessarily have to adopt them, but if they could listen and listen to their ideas and see what they propose, whether that's ideas for how to improve downtown or how to increase foot traffic into businesses, I think that would really go a long way.
Thank you.
And I will ask, is there anything else that you may wish to add?
I just wanted to say thank you for the work that you do every day. I know it's not easy work, and I want to thank city staff for the work you do every day for the future and the now of the city. If appointed, I would approach this role with humility, respect, and a genuine desire to learn. I wouldn't approach it in a way thinking that I know everything. I would be very excited, and I have a burning, fiery passion to give back to my community. And thank you for taking the time to interview me this evening.
And we still have time. Did you want to ask a question that was there, or are you good?
Question here. How would you handle a situation where you disagree with the mayor, city administrator, staff recommendation, or council majority?
I don't think disagreement is necessarily a bad thing if it's handled very respectfully and professionally. Different perspectives are very healthy in local government. And if I did disagree with someone, the first thing I would want to do is not just listen, but practice active listening and ask questions and understand their reasoning. But if I still disagreed with them, I would very respectfully explain my reasoning and the facts or concerns that I relied on, and very professionally accept the outcome of the vote. I think our constituents expect council members to think independently, but also collaborate with each other and avoid turning disagreements into personal conflicts.
All right, so where we are at now, if anyone else would like to finish with their question follow-up, or we can move on. Thank you very much. And
Thank
now,
you.
Now we will take Andrew. Is it Champ or Champ? Champ. Andrew Champ, please. All right, and we will go with Council Member Peterson.
Hi, Andrew. Thanks for being here. Why are you interested in the appointment to City Council, and what motivated you to apply for the Ward 2 vacancy?
So, my main goal would be the preservation of our city's identity, and I don't mean identity in some warped current political idea. I mean, a community is defined by a shared cultural connection, and we need to protect ours. Historical tradition and its preservation is what gives people something to cling to and brings them together. Even if 129 years later, there have been some changes. I think when people move into a city, they should assimilate to that culture. If you think where you came from was better, perhaps you should have stayed there. You know, if I moved to Leavenworth, you know, I would expect Lederhosen, Oktoberfest, and Tudor-style houses. That's where you're moving. That's who they are. That's what you need to accept. Nobody moves to Japan and starts telling the people it'll be less Japanese when they move there. Sedro-Woolley's not Tulip Town. It's not Seattle's Capitol Hill. And even though the demographics are changing in our city, I think we should stay true to what made it, frankly, I thought it was just the second safest city, but I looked up today and apparently it's now the safest city in the state. And people from Seattle didn't get it that way. So that's my main goal, is to keep Sedro from becoming Seattle.
All right, Councilmember DeYoung.
Thank you for applying. This was the most amazing letter of interest we received.
I deleted a lot, so you could say that.
Thank you for applying. What experiences, talents, or skills do you bring to the council and community that you would like to highlight?
So, for everyone else to hear, I mean, I largely covered that in my letter of interest, but I kind of am a jack of all trades, master of none, still better than anyone who can only do just one. And everything in my life, what did I know before jumping into it? Nothing, yet I came out successful. Went through 4 years of the Marine Corps. I'm not disabled. Infantry, I wasn't a, air conditioning technician. So came out of that successful. Didn't know anything about diesel mechanics. Did that as a first-year student. I was student of the year. That sounds impressive. It's not as impressive as it sounds. There's like 150 students of the year at Skagit Valley College. It's like every single department. But still, it's normally something a second-year student will get. As soon as I got fed up with the kind of laziness around me, I became an independent mechanic, and been successful at that. I've got multiple buildings in town that I've restored and built. I don't know anything about developing property, but I bought the sawmill site by the high school, and I did it without any prior experience at that scale, and I've learned a lot of things on the way. As far as, all that to say is, when I'm in over my head, I don't drown. I figure it out and I succeed. A lot of issues that I have to deal with on a daily basis for my customers that I primarily work on agriculture equipment. So dairy farmers are known to be quite cheap, just kind of in their genes. But every day I have to think about, is this worth it? Is it worth the repair? Is this tractor only supposed to last 6 more months or 6 more years? Do I spend $5,000 at John Deere, or do I buy the aftermarket one for half the price online? I have to consult with them, figure out their needs. I deal with other people's problems on a daily basis. So that's what I think I would bring to the table, is being a problem solver for things that 3 months ago might not have had any information on at all.
Madam Kesty, Mayor Kesty, I just would like to use my follow-up to say our resumes in our hands and the scars and calluses in our bodies, and it's to be respected. I respect your service, and as someone from the Dutch heritage, and we see a dairy farmer in the audience, appreciate your words. Thank you.
The Dutch are the most proud of their stinginess.
If you ain't Dutch, you ain't much.
Councilmember LaVaca.
Andrew, thank you so much for coming in. I do appreciate it. And yes, you did have a very thorough letter of interest, and that was much appreciated as well. So my question is, are there any regional issues or forums in which you have particular interest or expertise, such as transportation, housing, human services, public utilities, fiscal management, parks, and open spaces? You've mentioned a couple that you've had in there, but...
Yeah, so, all of those are issues that I would have to deal with if I was on the council. But there's 7 of you here for a reason. Not everybody can be passionate about the same thing, and not everybody has the time to be passionate about everything. So the things that would interest me the most would be development, housing, infrastructure. The other things, again, are important, but those would be the things that I would find the most interesting and the most, what I would put my time and effort into finding solutions for.
Thank you.
Councilmember Henderson.
Have you ever attended a city council meeting?
It's the easiest one. Thanks. Yes. I've attended several in person, as with most people. Typically, you attend when there's something directly relevant to yourself. And in the last 2 weeks, my evenings and my daytimes have been pretty much consumed with catching up on other ones and going down rabbit holes of sometimes petty dramas and sometimes very worthwhile rabbit holes. Watching the council minutes and reviewing the extensive 20-year plan that just came out, and yeah, it's I definitely have to turn on an old 90s sitcom at night to go to sleep, because my brain is just buzzing by the time I want to go to bed.
Councilmember Loy?
What do you understand the role of a city council member to be in Sedro-Woolley's mayor-council form of government? And how would you work effectively with staff without overstepping into the administration?
I would say I probably understand it about as well as anyone did on the first day they took office, took the oath. I mean, it's a pretty simple read to read Chapter 2.02 of the Municipal Code that explains the mayor's powers. They're the chief executive, make basically all the decisions, and the council is the checks and balances. As far as overstepping my bounds, got a whole panel of people here to call balls and strikes and tell me where I'm stepping over that line of what is my prerogative. So, yeah.
Councilmember Koch?
Thank you for applying, and also thank you for your service as a Marine. City resources and staff capacity are limited. Name one city priority you believe deserves more attention, and one worthy priority you would be willing to delay if funding or staff capacity required it.
Yeah, so I had trouble deciding if this is supposed to be a broader or more specific priority, but I would say the city's main priority, as it costs the most amount of money and takes the most amount of time, would be traffic. Roads don't just appear, and I know that's one of the main things that gasoline tax is abundant, so we got to get that money somewhere else. So to me, that would be a main priority, and then one worthy priority, which I kind of took to mean secondary priority, would be, maybe you won't like this, but something like SCAT. You know, I did the math, and one rider costs the taxpayer about $72 throughout the year. So if I had to make a less worthy priority, I would say that, and especially since in 10 years, it'll probably be irrelevant with self-driving cars dropping people off like Amazon packages. So maybe that's not what the writer of the question originally intended, but that's how I interpreted it.
Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Peterson?
How would you handle a situation where you disagree with the mayor, city administrator, staff recommendation, or council majority?
Well, it's a really hard question. I would probably wring my hands, scream on the side of the street how I didn't get my way, hold a sign up, act like a deranged person. But really, I would get over it and move on with life. There's a reason why there's 7 people, not 1 on the council. And if everyone else thought differently, that means I failed to persuade them. And I should take that failure as an opportunity to do better next time and take notes. Again, it's not a dictatorship. There's lots of people here for a reason.
Councilmember DeYoung?
How should council balance housing growth, economic opportunity, infrastructure capacity, and public safety, traffic, and neighborhood character?
Well, that is the million-dollar question. And since that's 6 questions, it's about a $6 million question. So much that I didn't even bother to write an answer to that one and just freehand it. To me, housing, affordability, there's a lot of factors, government involvement, societal changes, drug addiction. But to me, the easiest answer and probably the best answer is what the city has already started to move forward with, is being more, giving preference to ADUs. Not only are ADUs, they don't add more city streets, they don't add more city sidewalks, they really don't add much more city infrastructure. Generally, they're already going to be in an existing sewer line on the house. But what that does is it puts more money in the pockets of normal people that maybe don't think they need to get rich off this rental unit. It's just this nice little extra piece of cash in the backyard or in the shop. Gets the average person just more affordable spending or more flexible spending with their money. The people that live there will usually be at the beginning of their life or the end of their life, and those are the people that could really use the support of a landlord that lives right next door, instead of shipping them all off into an old folks home or giving them a crummy apartment downtown in the city. You know, if I was struggling 19-year-old renting from a retired couple, I would imagine there would be a lot of assistance there, depending on the type of person you're renting from. And I think as a whole, that would be better for society, for creating those connections with people, and also makes an easy transition for, say, an elderly couple that lives in the house and decide it's too hard. Let's move into the ADU and rent the house. It just makes people's retirement easier and in general. So I think ADUs are much better focus than large apartment buildings that, as much as they want to say it, are really overpriced. As much as they want to deny it, are really overpriced.
Councilmember Lavaca?
Thank you. Tell us about a time you had to make or support a difficult decision where reasonable people disagreed. What facts did you rely on, and how did you communicate the decision, and what did you learn from it?
I thought this was one of the harder questions on the list. I was hoping nobody would ask it. I mean, usually both parties are not generally reasonable. There's usually a dimwit in the mix there somewhere, but the only thing I could really think of was when two reasonable issues were at hand. I really struggled during the COVID time in accepting any restriction put on me. You know, I'm a typical defiant, independent American that says, until I break a law, you don't get to tell me what to do. And especially when it came to telling us what to do in a church, I wasn't really having it until our lead pastor kind of explained some things to me in a different light that made me more willing to accept the situation instead of just going somewhere where nobody was following the rules. So that would be one time where two somewhat reasonable arguments, and I chose to diminish my self from that status of believing I was right no matter what.
Madam Mayor, I was going to do a follow-up on that one.
Okay.
So you probably already answered it without, but I was going to follow up with, sometimes there's difficult decisions that are in front of you, and the disagreement is where one side is saying this is safer, and one side is saying, hey, this is our liberty, or it could be this is personal property ownership, or this is a policy coming down from Olympia. So there's two different mindsets going on. Which one do you think you would lean toward?
I'll probably butcher the quote, but I believe it's anyone that's going to give up their liberty for security or their liberty and freedom for security will receive neither. I'd said I was going to butcher it, but I think you've all probably heard it before. You know, I didn't get to rehearse that one and put it in the question, so I didn't get to Google search beforehand. Yeah, everyone has to draw a line in the sand somewhere. I think the principle of where the order is coming from would make a big deciding factor in that. It's really easy to understand principles. It's a pretty simple adage of follow the money. And if there's a whole bunch of money being handed out with one perspective, you can probably trust they're the corrupted one. So if I'm, kind of forgot exactly what you asked, but.
That works out good. Thank you.
Councilmember Henderson?
Andrew, what steps would you take to ensure transparency and accountability in council decisions?
So this is something I put a fair amount of thought into because, as I mentioned in my letter of interest, I'm not retired. I'm still doing things. And I've got a few unresolved issues with the city, building department exclusively, that if I'm on the council, would probably be an unfair advantage for me to vote on. And I don't think I would have to recuse my argument, but I do feel like I would have to recuse my vote on a few things. Just step back and let the other people decide, if anything, for appearances, so that there would be no debate on whether I was, you know, acting for personal interest or not. Another thing that I've thought about is people barely care enough to vote. Most people certainly don't care enough to watch a 3-hour video to find out what the topics were. An idea I've had myself is possibly having a small website or, heaven forbid, a Facebook page where I kind of just bullet point anything that I vote on. Make it simple for anyone who wants to read what I stand for to read it, instead of having to read a page 5 times to truly grasp what it was even about. So those are some ideas of how I would be open and honest in anything that I did on the city council. Thank you.
Councilmember Lloyd?
Pass.
Councilmember Cock?
Okay. I'll go ahead and take Kevin's. This appointment runs only until the November 2027 election certification. Are you looking to only fill the remainder of this term or to continue serving into a future elected position?
So yeah, I'm at this moment perfectly prepared to have to spend my time, my money, resources to run again and actually earn the public's vote. I say that with a grain of salt because as anyone who ever went in the military as a naive 18-year-old, they all probably thought they were going to spend 20 years, retire at 30, be some Ranger stud. But 3 years into it, that 10% of adventure time didn't outweigh the other 90% of the time. And so saying that is to say, I could despise this. Everyone could despise me. I mean, there could be a lot of frustration involved that I'm not even aware of. So if that's the case, I hope James will run at the end of this 1.5 years and take the burden off of me if I decide that I hate it so badly. But yeah, I mean, it's. What more can I say? Yeah.
All right. And I am going to ask, is there anything else that you may wish to add?
Nope.
And since we have some time, did anyone want to follow up with any of their questions if they had extra, or are we all right here? Oh, Councilmember Henderson?
Can I take Councilman Cox's last question? Andrew, what are one or two realistic contributions you would hope to make during the appointed term?
So that was another one where I was trying to decide what it really meant. And so what I ended up interpreting as is realistic contributions. That means not standing here and saying, we have to have a 4-lane highway on Highway 20, because that would not be realistic. So things that would be realistic that I can put forth and do things to make accomplishable that I don't think would receive much pushback. One thing would largely revolve around beautification of the city. And to me, I have a big pet peeve with every single corner, every single telephone pole, everywhere you go, there's some new con man putting signs up about buying houses for cash, coating RV roofs, or whatever fly-by-night pressure washer business is popping up today. I mean, some of them, they can't even withstand a month in the wintertime before the letters are washing off the signs, and they're basically litter. I mean, I look at them as internet pop-up ads. And, you know, when there's election signs still up at the end of December, it's litter. And I know that's a little personal pet peeve of mine, but it doesn't reflect well in the city when there's abandoned signage everywhere. There's these feather flags that are ripped, tattered, and torn, and they got 10 of them in a row. It's kind of just this sleazy used car lot vibe. But I also believe in property rights, so I would really only be looking to restrict those things in the public right-of-way. If you want this big dumb sign in your front yard, go ahead, but everybody seems to think that they own the city streets and the power poles that often say, don't put a sign here. So that, along with what James said about things like a fence that's falling over, it doesn't reflect well in the city. We got curbing and stuff that they put rocks in so they wouldn't have to maintain grass, and now it's just a pile of dead leaves and weeds. And when I drive through Linden, it doesn't look like that. When I drive through Linden, I think, I kind of wish my parents would have moved here 30 years ago, you know. But I'm embedded now. There's no moving up there now. I'm too connected, and I'm stubborn. So that would be a realistic thing that I think I could achieve, as opposed to grander ideas that are really not totally in my control. But I think this is minimal enough that something could happen.
So is there any more questions? All right. Andrew, thank you very much. And I want to thank, as well as I know the rest of the council would want to as well, everybody who showed up today to apply for this position. It's a very, very hard thing to do. And it's how do I say this? To see so many people come up to want to do this, it really fills your heart. So with that, we now will be looking for motions on the candidates or discussions that you might want to have. And I will leave that to the pleasure of the council.
Madam Mayor, if I may, just so that everybody knows and understands that we were in agreement that we would hold any discussion out in the public versus going into executive order and discussing people without them present. We did that during the last one, and we decided to change the process going forward with all of them because it's only the right thing to do because it's a public position. So just to give some forethought and understanding that there's no offense towards anybody or anything that they said or any responses to their answers. Everybody is highly respected for taking the time to step up, for filling out the questionnaires, for standing in front of people. It's very much so admired. So as we go through this discussion process, only one person, unfortunately, because we have really good candidates, can make it through to be on the DSCs today. Thank you.
All right. So is there any motion or discussion beforehand that you would like to have, Council Member Peterson?
I'd like to also thank all of the candidates for stepping forward. Like Nick said, it's a really hard thing to do, and I really appreciate your time. You guys all studied up, and it was really impressive, and it was great to hear all of the voices from the 3 candidates. Having said that, I'd like to nominate James Cox, or am I making a motion to nominate James Cox for the position? Is
You
that
can
how I
make
say
a-
it?
Yeah.
Second.
All right. So we have a motion for James Cox by Councilmember Peterson, seconded by Councilmember DeYoung. Do we have any others that would like to be put forth? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay. So motion passes for James Cox. So we will go through now and swear him in. Okay. So James, will you please come forward? To the
I had all these notes. Like I had all the notes. No, I was like, I was ready. Dang it.
I didn't vote against him, I didn't vote for him. Got nothing against him.
Let's see.
Seems like a nice enough guy.
We could share.
Just like the
I don't know if it's,
ducks of that.
okay. So raise your right hand. I, James Cox,
I, James Cox,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution and laws
that I will support the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of the State of Washington
of the State of Washington
and all local ordinances,
and all local ordinances,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially perform
and impartially perform
and discharge the duties
and discharge the duties
of the office of council member
of the office of council member
for the city of Sedro-Woolley,
for the city of Sedro-Woolley,
Skagit County,
Skagit County,
Washington.
Washington,
according to law,
according to law,
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and understanding.
and understanding.
And with that, I'd like to present our new council member, James Cox. And while I get the pen, we wanted to get pictures with him. Okay, and now, James, go ahead and sign right there.
I'm sure they're all nice people.
I was impressed that a woman could speak 3 languages. I could barely speak 1.
You got more than me.
All right, and you can take this back.
Welcome. Yeah, congratulations.
James, would you like to say a few words? Or are you good?
Oh, look at that. Thank you. Already helping me out. I just want to thank everyone that's come here. It's important that we continue what we're doing and grow this city in a good way. Andrew, I know you very well, so thank you for your support too. It's just wonderful. So thank you. I look forward to working with all of you up here and along the side as well. And more importantly, out there.
All right, if there isn't anything for the good of the order, I would be looking
Move to
for
adjourn.
a motion to adjourn. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Andrew.